California chaos. Hey, let's go with the upside down American flag today. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere east of Los Angeles, California. My name's BrianEngelman. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2025, and this is the TNAM Daily Show, a subdivision of the Agree to Disagree show here on the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Oh, I could tell you there's about 100 stories that we're going to talk about, but, you know, what's happening in my former city? I want to know. The National Guard has been sent, and the Marines are sort of on standby. They're ready to deploy. Let's break it all down on today's episode. Here we go.
Your guide to the truth, thenewamericanmedia.com.
We are live, everybody. Definitely the Rumble feed is up, and it appears as though our Facebook feed is up as well. Yes, it is. Look at that. Fantastic. Please hit like and hit subscribe however you are watching. We're going to start the show as we usually do. We're going to take a quick look in the world of sports, especially right now because we are in the middle of NHL hockey championship season as well as NBA championship season. And then we're going to get to all the crazy chaos, the chaos. Is that a word? Talk about the chaos in Los Angeles. You got to put the T in Los Angeles. And that's the part. All right, sharing the screen here. And please say hello, however you are watching. Hello, David. Once the comment section gets populated, we'll put that on the screen, and we'll incorporate you all into our show. All right, let's talk about not too much to add on the Stanley Cup, because not too much has occurred since our last show. How do I make this larger? Let me just go small. There, we'll do that for now. Or we'll do it this way, actually. Okay, so yeah, it's still a 1-1 series. Game 3 will be today, 8 p.m. So check it out. That's all I had to say about that. We'll tell you about the NBA Finals real quick, but Darius Garland, star of the Cleveland Cavaliers, has toe surgery. He'll be out 4 to 5 months. That's not great, but hopefully they can get things put together, and the Mavericks will be working out Cooper Flagg in about a week, seeing if he will be the number 1 pick by that franchise or if they're going to trade it or pick somebody else. We'll see. All right, well, yesterday, here, let's switch from, why is it showing June 11th? I guess June 8th is what I'm looking for. So the next game in the NBA Finals will be on the 11th. That'll be 2 days from today. Where is it? Yeah, Oklahoma City was pretty much in charge of this, 20, 30 points up, 25 points up most of the game. They win by 15, 123-107. The series is now tied 1-1 as they move to Indianapolis. Indy has home court advantage now. So keep your eyes peeled on that. That's really all. That is the extent of what I want to talk to you about with sports. I did not have a ton to get to. Yes, David, what a mess in LA. Fact. And it's a big reason why I moved the hell out of there in 2021. It's hard to believe it's almost been 4 years since I cut and ran from Los Angeles. That was a place that was no longer serving me. You know, I watched the world devolve into craziness during COVID, and I watched the riots. I watched what blue cities are all about, and they're all about chaos. That's what the Democrat Party's about, chaos. That's what the blue cities are about. The blue states are about chaos. It's not that complicated to box in rioters and arrest them. It's not that hard if you want to. And for some reason, oh, and we got theories on why that reason is. These people have to be in on it. We'll break it all down. We'll break it all down. First, let's start with a palate cleanser. And look, I could give you an opening monologue here. Part of me wants to, because I really enjoy the monologues. Now, the interesting thing is that I don't have a team of writers, so when I do a monologue, I'm crafting it in real time. Maybe that's what makes it not as good as some of the other monologues, but in some ways it's better. A little more honest, a little bit more personal. Very stream of consciousness, though, but that's what we're about here on the New American Media. Yeah. So the military being deployed all over the United States. Well, the National Guard has been sent out, and the Marines are on standby. There's a couple of bases out there, and Hank's just kind of cracking his knuckles, going, "Just tell me, just give me the chomping at the bit," like the horse kind of bouncing its foot, like, "I want to race, I want to race, I want to race, I want to race, I want to race." Oh, I can't believe you're excited to see President Trump turn the military on the people. You know what we were screaming during the summer of love riots of 2020? It's the same thing residents of the big blue cities have been screaming for decades. Arrest the bad guys. Go get them. But they don't. They give them space to destroy. They give them space to destroy. I've been living in a cuckoo clock for a long time. So let's jump into the stories. We got a lot of video footage I want to kind of toss through. But once you've seen one burning cop car, you've seen them all, right? All right. This happens to be at the top of the stack, not accidentally, just randomly. But as we're trying to make sense of who's in charge and why is this all happening, you go, "Oh, it's the Republicans' fault. See, it's Trump, and it's the way he talks, and he shouldn't have been letting immigration go after criminal alien invaders. Why would you say he should not be working with immigration to get rid of illegal alien invaders with criminal records? By the way, if you broke into America, you have a criminal record, but they're going after the highest profile targets." Oh, you say it's the Democrats. Oh, see, all blue cities, every time Obama and Biden, and just they're terrible. They're terrible leaders. And you go, eh. Then you watch Congress and you're like, it's the Republicans and the Democrats that are terrible. Look at them. They're equally terrible. Then you go, wait a minute. If it's not just the Republicans that are terrible, if it's not just the Democrats that are terrible, is there some other force pulling the puppet strings above them? Because it's really all about the puppet masters, isn't it? You see the riots in Los Angeles, you see them wherever, and you go, all right, well, who's funding them? Who's dropping off pallets of bricks? Who's printing up the signs? Which of the usual suspects of global destabilization? Is it USAID, CIA, Revcom? Like, you go down the list of people who are community agitators, and there's a list of regular usual suspects. But what if the people pulling the strings are a little bit more than that? We ask if you agree or disagree. You can vote on this poll here. This is ex-investment banker and former Bush official Catherine Austin Fitts revealing who she believes sits at the top of the pyramid.
I think you have intergenerational pools of capital, and right now they are over influenced by a cult. So I think you have interdimensional intelligence, which is operating demonic intelligence.
Interdimensional demonic intelligence.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I think this thing about good and evil is real, and I can't find it anymore. I found it once. There were in the 30s, a British physicist got up and said, we are being manipulated, but from other dimensions by intelligent beings from other dimensions. So I think, if you study Christianity and you read the Bible, you're dealing with both divine intelligence and demonic intelligence. And I think too much of the leadership has gotten deeply involved in the occult and demonic kinds of intelligence.
All right. We typed, it's kind of the only thing that makes any sense, since nothing seems to make sense. What say you? Type it in the comments, however you're watching. Hello to Holly, of course, hello to David and everybody else watching. Jump in. What do you say? Do you think there could be interdimensional influence over what's going on in our divisive realm of politics and frustration? I love the ancient aliens theory. I love the ancient aliens concept. It's funny because I do a sports show with Mike Barra, who's been on Ancient Aliens and all these shows like that. And he and I have never gotten into like that main topic. We mainly chop it up talking football. We do a show called Strictly Football. Where's the design here? There you go. Strictly Football with BrianEngelman and Mike Barra. Also, Jim Mitchell joins us a lot. But I love the topic. When I saw Ancient Aliens for the first time, I mean, it was a light bulb. Just, I mean, the most massive. You ever see like those old-timey photo boxes? Like they'll stand there and you have to stand still for about 17 minutes to get a photograph or something. But they'll pull the flash and go, poof. It gives you that sound, the poof. And like the crispy crackle of, you can almost hear like ions separating in the ether. And that's what it was like in my head when I watched the Ancient Aliens. It was like, poof. Wow. Now some of this kind of makes a little bit of sense. Because nothing makes sense. It does make sense that the powers that be want to maintain power and control. They want to keep as much of everything as they can. George Carlin does a nice bit about they have all the best real estate. They have all the best companies. They do this, they do that. And then, it's one big club and you ain't in it. There's a lot of truth to that energy, to that vibe, to that feeling. And anyway, it's just interesting that was the first story. I think I had more shared, but I think the Instagram feed rotates. It cycles through every 24 hours. So anything I had prior to this, I did get started later today than usual. But then again, when you have a floating show, your usual can be whatever you want it to be, whatever you need it to be. So there's our question of the day. Do you agree or disagree with Catherine Austin Fitts that this could be about interdimensional demonic energy controlling the puppet strings of chaos here on planet Earth? Agree or disagree with Catherine Austin Fitz? All right. So drop your comments in there on our question of the day and vote on our Instagram poll. Jack says this. So someone explain this to, and here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll through the different videos, the different perspectives, and we're going to unpack it. Tell us what makes sense. Tell us what you disagree with it. If you have additional thoughts, drop them in the comments and we'll incorporate them into the show. Jack says, someone explain this to me like I'm 2 years old. Why are they waving Mexico's flag all over the place while protesting against people being deported to Mexico? I don't get it. Add me to the list. I don't get it either. Greg Gutfeld says, trying to find a country to establish a sanctuary city where I can burn shit while waving my native country's flag, while violently demanding they don't send me back to the native country of the flag I'm waving. Is there a country I can terrorize and then demand sympathy when they want me to leave? By the way, I think Greg is talking about England. They seem to be very passive over there, very cuckolded, very conquered. Here you go, motorcycle hombre. Imagine allowing this to happen in your state, and then you have the balls to criticize Trump for taking action to fix it? Gavin Newsom is the worst. Yeah, Motorcycle Man has gone famous. In fact, we used him as the profile picture for today's episode, if you weren't aware. Jillian says, keep waving flags. It makes it easier for ICE to identify who needs to leave. Mike Benz, they're literally rioting to stop from being sent back to the foreign country whose flag they're waving. Crusader Pepe says they're fighting for the country they refuse to live in. This is an attack. This is an invasion. This is madness. Yep, Cat Turd says the party of joy strikes again. You got cop cars all back there. You got the Mexican flag. Guy too ashamed of himself to raw dog his face. He's covered up, trying to avoid identification. But there's enough video of this vehicle. You can identify this vehicle, right? And this person, has this person been identified yet? Has the guy waving the Mexico flag on his motorcycle from the LA riots been identified yet? Let's find out what Grok says. No definitive identification. Can't we ID him from his vehicle? Right? Like, this is 2025. I guess it's a dirt bike. I'm saying motorcycle. Dirt bike. What, there was no license plate on there? All right. Well, we don't know who it is. I was just wondering if the party of joy is identified. That guy. American Warrior says millions of military-aged males who came here illegally are rioting in our largest cities and waving their nation's flags. That's called an invasion. Crush these fools. Do you agree or disagree with that take? Arrest them. Block them in. Paddy wagons. Assault teams. Move them in. Zip tie the hands. Extract them out. Go. One after the other. All right. That was close. I was able to use the dump button, but I think you saw me winding up a sneeze. There are two visions for America. Choose wisely, says Wesley Hunt. You want to be this guy participating in a riot, waving a flag of a foreign nation? You're going to be President Trump, standing up to the violent elements of society, bloodied under the banner of an American flag, and keep going. Choose wisely. There he is. Yeah, I got a hunch you're going to be ID'd at some point soon, pal. Live it up. Live it up. Liz Wheeler says these anti-ICE riots aren't organic. It's not grassroots. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is an expert in political warfare. Literally. I warned this violence would erupt after the election. It was strategically delayed only because Kamala Harris drained the DNC war chest. There was no money to pay the rioters. Understand the reality that you're seeing, she claims. Oh, rioters assaulting law enforcement, pouring gasoline on car engines and setting them on fire, waving Mexican flags, wearing pro-Hamas keffiyehs, deliberately impeding the lawful deportation of criminal illegal aliens. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass worked for the National Endowment for Democracy, NED, whose sole purpose was fomenting color revolutions abroad, regime change, ostensibly toppling foreign governments with grassroots mobs. Right. But not actually grassroots. They're funded by U.S. aid. Thanks to Data Republican for uncovering Karen Bass's nefarious expertise. Karen is not a DEI stooge. She's a political warlord. And let me tell you, that's an important distinction to make. Very important distinction to make. You heard that alleged recorded conversation where she's quietly saying, "Look, I can't explain everything now, but it's going to make sense soon. And I have to go on this trip. And when I come back," and it was right as the LA fires were happening. It would be best if you don't consider Karen Bass to be inept, incompetent. It might be best to view her as a political warlord. Look at what happened in Los Angeles with those fires. And imagine for a moment that it's possible Karen Bass was involved. Now look at these riots. David says someone is paying these people to riot. Liz Wheeler says, also understand, thanks to Mike Benz's primer on U.S. aid and Elon and Doge uncovering the disturbing reality that U.S. aid-funded non-governmental organizations, that they don't just target foreign governments. They've been weaponized against us. Karen Bass was deputy vice chair in charge of this political warfare. She's now condemning the lawful deportation of criminal aliens by ICE and fomenting the violent riots in Los Angeles. It's not grassroots. It's not real. It's Marxist violence and political warfare targeting you. They hate you. You know it. ABC News' Terry Moran literally said it, accusing Stephen Miller of being vile and brimming with hatred, because Stephen Miller loves America and wants to protect us from invasion and subversion. The violent left is violent. Believe your eyes when you see it. CNN claims the riots are lawful protests with some unrest, but CNN also described the BLM riots of 2020 as fiery but mostly peaceful, as buildings blazed with flames in the background. It's terrorism. The left cannot sell their evil ideology to Americans. We reject it. We rejected Biden. We reject the delusion that boys can be girls. We reject the poisonous idea that white people are inherently racist. Although it is interesting, this idea of inherent racism for white people. Isn't there an inherent bias, Liz, in Christianity that we're supposed to accept ourselves as inherent sinners? We didn't do anything. Oh, no. See, it's like because that one person or those two people way back in the day did something, you're to blame for it. And it's like, huh? Just saying, if we're gonna talk about the ideological benchmarks of saying, we reject the lie, about white people being inherently racist, then why do we accept Christianity as us being inherent sinners if we haven't done it? Now, of course, I mean, give yourself 10 minutes in this earthly realm and you're going to be a sinner. But just the concept that, like, well, just when you were born, you were a sinner. It's like, feels a little, manipulative, a little, not date rapey, but like, I said manipulated, groomed, self-loathing, self-hatred. Groomed isn't the right phrase either. Not gaslit. But it's really like dragging you down. It's like tearing you apart. It's not great. It's not great. Anyway, back to her. Sorry, that got me thinking because I've been recently pondering that. Liz Wheeler continues, we reject the nonsense that securing our border is bigotry. We reject the lie that America is tainted and bad. So their only recourse is violence, destruction, and eventual tyrannical imposition of their communism by force. That's what you're seeing. It's an existential battle for our country. And it's just beginning. Buckle up button. You forgot to mention the fact that Karen Bass is a literal socialist who was trained as a revolutionary in Cuba, says Arcanum music official. Oh, they need to use water cannons with dye so that they know who to arrest. That's interesting. Soros is back with his Antifa dorks. Anyway. It was a pretty solid take on most of that stuff there. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says leftists are fueling a war against America in California, and Governor Newsom and Mayor Bass are doing nothing to stop it. Who's funding this? This is the same treasonous anarchy we've seen for years by the left. What's starting in LA is going to spread across the country, only this time it's not going to be tolerated. Not tolerating this button. These are the comments that I leave. Let's see how much is tolerated. Anthony Cabasa says Representative Maxine Waters is at the federal building in LA where the National Guard has been deployed. She says President Trump is trying to enact martial and or civil war. Well, here, let's take a listen to her.
And he's using deportation as a way to enhance his position with all of those right-wingers out there who do not want this country to be a country of people coming from other places. It's outrageous, it is horrible, and we've got to make sure that we do everything that we possibly can, because I think he's up to creating martial law. He even alluded to
we got the National Guard here.
What do you think about
for what?
What do you think about the National Guard being here, Trump deploying them and not our own governor?
Well, the thing about it is, I don't know why they're here with guns. Whom are they going to shoot, and for what? Are you going to shoot a kid running away just because they're afraid of him?
Just because? I don't know. How about the people that are throwing rocks in acts of attempted murder off of freeway overpasses, you dipshit? Maybe we start there. How about the ones setting all the cars on fire? Maybe you arrest them. Maybe you assume that the people that are unhinged enough to burn their own city down, and by the way, some of these people not from their own city. Yeah, maybe assuming that the people who are unhinged enough to participate in this nonsense might be unhinged enough to take it another notch. Yeah, that's why you're armed, you nincompoop. But Maxine is in on this. She told you before, you get up in their faces at their gasoline stations, at the restaurants. And what was her exact quote? Let me see how much more she has to say here.
Are you going to shoot a protester because you don't like what they're saying? Why the guns? Why are these guns here? That's my question.
Why the guns?
I don't get why the guns have to be here. We're a sanctuary city. We know Trump doesn't like us. We know that he's going to try to use us as an example. He's going to try to goad us so that he has a martial law. He even alluded to civil war at one point in talking about this issue.
And
and he's using deportation as a way to enhance his position with all of those right-wingers out there who do not want this country.
Okay, that was the reset there. By the way, Maxine Waters famously said in 2018 in Los Angeles, if you see anybody from that Trump cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd and you push back on them and you tell them they're not welcome anymore anywhere. This was in response to the Trump administration's zero-tolerance immigration policy. She later clarified she was not advocating violence, but peaceful protest. We've had it, Maxine. We've had it with you. We typed, Maxine and the Democrats have been waging a treasonous civil war on America since the beginning of their party. It's time the Democrat leadership is indicted and arrested for treason. And I'm not holding my breath. The Real State of America reports that AG Pam Bondi threatens to arrest judges and members of Congress if they impede ICE operations. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi issued a strong warning during a televised press briefing. Anyone who obstructs or assaults law enforcement during ICE operations will be prosecuted regardless of their position. It doesn't matter if you're a judge, member of Congress, or a protester in Los Angeles. If you obstruct or assault a law enforcement officer, this Department of Justice will prosecute you. This statement came amid growing tensions in Los Angeles, where federal agents faced resistance during immigration enforcement actions. Evan Kilgore wants to tell us. Here we go. Comments coming in. Hello, everybody. Evan Kilgore reminds us in Colombia, the right-wing candidate Miguel Uribe was just shot. What is the status of that? Hang on. Miguel Uribe, health status. A Colombian senator was shot during a campaign event 2 days ago. Critical condition. Oh, shit. Being in a state of maximum severity at a Bogota hospital. Oh, God. He's shown minimal response to medical interventions following emergency surgeries. They shot the Colombian candidate that was for the people. That was a very dark prognosis, according to Grok. That's what they tried to do to Trump, because he wanted to stand up to these sanctuary cities, these blue cities, blue states. And I saw a graphic, cartoon, a meme, whatever you want to call it, and it said, you know, the Democrats aren't upset about the immigration. They're upset because they're going to lose their voting block. They're going to lose electoral college seats forever. If you take away the fraud opportunities, if you take away the people, what do we get rid of? 10, 20, 30 million social security numbers that could have been pilfered by an illegal alien so that they could get a ballot and vote, perhaps, allegedly. That's why the outrage is so strong, because the rest of us have been watching saying, you know, there's a legal path for immigration. And if you want to do that, and you're going to learn our customs and our traditions, and you're not going to bring your shit values from your shit country that you're allegedly fleeing with you so that you can change your good country into the same carbon copy of your shit country you fled because it was so shit you didn't want to put up with it. Yeah, we don't want that here either. If you want to learn the language and assimilate, immigration without assimilation is invasion. It's that simple. You want to join a winning team and join a winning culture? Then do it. You want to join a winning team and mess up and poison their culture with your bad work ethic, your bad ideology, your bad indoctrination, your bad politics? Then no. You've seen the bumper stickers. Don't California my Texas. Don't California my Idaho. Don't California my this or that. And, you know, the concept remains. If we want to have some legal immigration from people that want to assimilate, and that the process forces that and follows up on that and ensures that, I think most people are down with some of that. But this, no, whatever this is has been going on for far too long. And it's about time it gets addressed. It's going to have to necessarily escalate because it's been so out of control for so long. El Salvador was out of control for a really long time, too. So, look, in Colombia, they just shot the right-wing candidate, Miguel Uribe. That's not good. Oh, God. I wonder, you know what? I didn't look this up, but I'm going to now. Let me search on Grok. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, God. That is video of it. Hang on. Oh, God. Shot in the head. Oh, God. Reports say Colombia has not seen such a high-profile political assassination attempt since the violent drug wars of the early 1990s during Escobar's reign. 15-year-old suspect arrested. 15-year-old suspect arrested with a 9mm Glock pistol. Man. That's what they tried to do to Trump. That's the guy they arrested. Oh, God. Colombia has a leftist government and set to have an election in 26. So USA, Slovakia, Spain, and Ecuador assassination attempts on right-wing candidates have become very frequent in the last couple of years. The left doesn't have ideology for the people. The left has violence. Oh, God. Oh. Oh, damn. Sorry, I don't want to play this. I did share these on X, and you can shit. Oh my God. All right. You know, I didn't want to see that today. Hello, Unholy Hoax. Yes, damn those Dems. And it's more than Dems. It's the radical, violent leftists across the globe. They want to dominate and control you and steal everything they can from you, or else they'll try to kill you. That's what it is. And it's been this death cult from the left the whole fucking time. Pick your country, same exact scenario plays out. Alex Alberto G. Why doesn't Gavin just give Trump a phone call? Oh, Gavin has been taunting Tom Homan to arrest him. Alex Alberto G. Where are you watching from? Where are you watching the show from today, Alex Alberto G? Yeah, Gavin Newsom said, just come and arrest me. He wants it. He's asking for it. Scott Adams calls him a theater kid. You know, that's what they want, that photo op. And he wants to be able to put his hands up and say, you know, I mean, I would have done more, but they arrested me too. That's how out of control they are. On the flip side, why don't you arrest Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom? I feel like you got plenty of what you need. Yeah, David's like, I know, just have a conversation. You know, like they say, the left can't meme. The left can't converse. They twig out. Like they just, I don't know what twig out means, but like they trip out. They glitch. Somebody has a different opinion than me. And they screech and they scream and they threaten and they yell and they That's what they do. They don't have the same ability to reason, the Socratic method to really identify the story, identify the issue, consider it from a nuanced, multi-angled perspective. That's what should be done. But sadly, that's not what happens. They don't converse. And I've taken to not having as many conversations. Don't argue with a crazy person. They'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience, they say. Sorry, back to Evan Kilgore. Yeah, the guy was shot right in the head. That is what they tried to do to Trump. We don't know how lucky we are. And so, dear Lord, Heavenly Father, whoever out there wants to jump in and say a kind word to whatever entity or spirit or energy or force that they deem to be holy, thank you for avoiding that Butler, Pennsylvania situation and watching over, keeping that from happening. I mean, that was a layup that kid missed. They let him get basically right next to him. Continue to send your angels to protect President Trump, the entire ICE team in this country, from the violent, demonic energy that is trying to ruin everything they can. In your name we pray. Amen. Who was shot? I'm reading this post. What's up, Bella's Chance? Bella's Chance. I still don't recall your name. If you've posted it, I forget it. I can call you Bella or Bella's Chance, but Unholy Hoax is from San Antonio. Am I right? Am I remembering that right? Unholy Hoax. I just like to, I like to have the background. We're talking about this post right over here. Evan Kilgore reporting in Colombia, the right-wing candidate. The Trump of Colombia was shot in the head, and he's not doing great. Not really, just very bad prognosis, according to his wife and Grok. And they might have effectively assassinated him. So yes, that's who was shot. But it's once again in Ecuador, the right-wing candidate for Fernando Villavicencio was assassinated. In Brazil, the right-wing candidate Jair Bolsonaro was stabbed. In the United States, the right-wing candidate Donald Trump was shot. The left is, and always will be a murderous and demonic death cult. What say you? Do you agree or disagree? I agree. They don't get their way and they get violent. That's their way. That's why we cannot oppose them enough. What did not Bekele, Malay. What did Malay say? You don't give an inch to the shit libs. You don't give an inch to the shit libs. They take and they take and they take. Never give an inch. And that's the same with the Democrats. They are the shit libs. The party pushes division and hate and violence. That's what they do. Oh, you got to be kidding me. That's what the Republicans do. Didn't you see the insurrection on January 6th? Oh, what? When you stole the 2020 election and you expected we weren't going to notice? By the way, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov or who.int and cisa.gov/rumor control. Go find countervailing views because they'll tell you that 2020 was the only free and fair election in the history of elections. And they want you to remember that no criminal court found any conclusive evidence that the 2020 election was rigged. They want to leave out countervailing evidence with the fact that no court really actually looked at it. No court actually took a case on it. And they all punted. Remember the Supreme Court said that states didn't have jurisdiction to step in and challenge the results from these fraud states, swing states, when 5 or 6 or 7 of them magically paused right around the same exact time, with Trump leading by hundreds of thousands of votes, just to drag it out just about long enough to barely find just enough votes in every one of these weird states that finally magically fucking forgot how to count, found just enough votes to push Biden with 81 million totally legitimate votes over the finish line to overthrow President Trump in a coup. Yeah, remember that one? Yeah, all that. Yeah. So they'll say the Republicans are the violent ones. Yeah. Remember when they tried to overthrow the president? Did you ever read the Time magazine article where they fortified the 2020 election? Rigged. Countervailing views, cisa.gov/rumor control. The left was, is, and always will be a murderous and demonic death cult, says Evan Kilgore. And I don't think he's very far off. Glenn Beck points out the West, let me go back, because the West isn't being asked to surrender, the West isn't being asked to shelter the world. It's being asked to surrender to it. And I am not ready to kneel. We put rise up. Matt Walsh says the left got away with mass rioting in 2020. That's why it's happening again. The only solution is to treat them like the terrorists that they are. Use overwhelming force to put down the riots. Charge and convict the rioters and send them to prison for years. Ruin their lives, show no mercy. Make an example of them. This is how you maintain a just and orderly society. The other option is anarchy. I'm going to put the agree button on his post. We've been screaming this since the 2020 summer of love.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
You mean he doesn't like the scenes of cars being set on fire? You mean he doesn't like seeing things like this?
That's attempted murder right there. You're operating a motor vehicle. Hold on.
Or seen.
You're operating a 2-ton, 3-ton, 4-ton motor vehicle traveling 45 miles an hour, and you have a cinder block or a rock thrown through your windshield. That's an attempted murder. And the attempted reckless endangerment of everybody around you. If there were 20 people standing around, charge them with 20 attempted murder cases. Talk about fuck around, find out. Like, that is madness. Oh, you hear the same thing. God, I hate the fact that I'm opening this can of worms because I hate the Israel topic with a passion for obvious reasons. If you've listened to my show for any of the 14 years that I've done it. But it's always this bullshit backward excuse. Can you believe that Israel fired a shot? Can you believe they used a missile or that they fired, or they dropped a bomb, that they used force? All that was happening was those brave people in Palestine threw a rock. All they did was throw a rock. It was a disproportional use of force. God, I hate that I had to use that analogy. Throwing rocks off of the overpass into the windshields, caving them in, is attempted fucking murder. It's not, they just threw a rock. I can't believe you shot him with a non-lethal pepper ball spray. How dare you? Won't somebody think of the children? They should be all allowed to riot all day, every day, with no consequences. I just can't. I can't with these bullshit arguments anymore. I just fucking can't. I've watched video after video after video after video of large rock, cinder block, brick chunks being thrown through windshields. It's attempted murder. And I'm not accepting the fact that it's not. Nope. If you throw an egg, I guess it could be argued that the egg could land on your windshield and take away your visibility, which could cause to your car crashing and taking out people on the sidewalk or yourself. That's a little bit more of a stretch. But you throw a rock or a brick or something, cinder block through somebody's windshield, yeah, that's attempted murder, Holmes. That is attempted murder. All right, we got a name. Sid. What up, Sid? But you do like it when I call you Bella. I'll try to keep that in mind. Bella. Sid Bella. Oh, Sid Bella. Anyway, watch some more videos here.
Things like this.
Sorry, like that just set me off. Look. Hang on. Get rid of this for just a second here. Okay, that's the opposite of what I just tried to do. Camera 1, camera 2. I don't know why it glitched that way. Listen, I was once stuck in a May Day riot. Everything blocked off in Los Angeles, right around Spring Street, right around, I'm trying to remember, is it the 101, the 10, the 5, or was it 101, the 5, the 110, and the 10? They all kind of converge downtown in this, and I was stuck underneath the overpasses. And blink goes my fuel gauge. And I went, oh, shit. Nobody threw something through my windshield that day. Oh, but I mean, May Day was like, oh, we're going to block all of the trap. You couldn't drive through there. Look, the one of the biggest lies that the Democrats have told you for the past, well, your entire life, just your entire life. They love to use language to lie. So Democrats are like the ultimate lawyers, if you think about it. They use language to lie. They call these riots protests. And the longer that CNN can pull off, well, it was fiery, but it was mostly peaceful. Nope. In America, you have a First Amendment right to protest, to show up at the park in the public square and say what you want and hold your signs and get some attention. Honk if you like my policy. You don't have the right to block traffic. You don't have the right to burn shit. You don't have the right to steal things. You don't have the right to vandalize. You don't. That crosses the realm, frankly, pretty quickly into terrorist activity, domestic terrorist activity. So I take this stuff personally, man. I've been in Los Angeles. I was there underneath some of these overpasses. I don't think we've seen the one video that it's etched in my brain, but I'm like seeing like the big heavy projectile spider webbing the crushed, luckily reinforced windshield glass of the cop car. It's out of control. It was very predictable. And it's time that these blue cities, blue states fix their shit. It's time. I can't believe they used any use of force. Oh, wait. Oh, God, that was so small you couldn't see it. I didn't change the aspect ratio. Sorry. All they were doing were throwing rocks. My boy was set to go to college. My boy would never do nothing to nobody. He was a good kid. They were just rocks.
Mm-hmm. This is why you cannot take these people seriously. She's out here trying to lie, acting like everything happening is peaceful, while literally on the screen next to her, they're showing something that looks like an anarchist scene from The Purge. The reason the National Guard is coming is to ensure that ICE can do their jobs. Mayor of LA said they're not going to help ICE, and people in LA are working to obstruct ICE. They're threatening them, they're throwing stones at them. So the National Guard is coming in to make sure ICE can do their job as efficiently and as safely as possible.
We are having an administration that's targeting peaceful protests, people that are there to protest. The president is sending the National Guard because he doesn't like the scenes. He doesn't like the scenes of people peacefully protesting.
Yeah, the lunatics. Expect nothing less from CNN. Here's Christy Nome.
Well, California's governor doesn't want the federalized system here. He says he's got it under control. There's no shortage of law enforcement. Gavin Newsom said he's called in California Highway Patrol. He says the Trump administration
Highway Patrol is gonna arrest these people. This lady is the worst.
Seeking a spectacle here. He's saying to protesters, don't get violent, don't engage.
Well, if he was doing his job, then people wouldn't have gotten hurt the last couple of days. We wouldn't have officers with a shattered wrist from bricks being thrown through their vehicles being burned, flags being burned in the street, and Molotov cocktails being thrown. Governor Newsom has proven that he makes bad decisions. The president knows that he makes bad decisions, and that's why the president chose the safety of this community over waiting for Governor Newsom to get some sanity. And that's one of the reasons why these National Guard soldiers are being federalized, so they can use their special skill set to keep peace. We're not going to let a repeat of 2020 happen. And if you remember, it all happened in Tim Walz's state in Minneapolis, which was a neighboring state, and a governor at the time. And Governor Tim Walz made very bad decisions and then tried to get the as governors to send our National Guard in to bail him out when he let his city burn for days on end.
Well, California's governor doesn't want the federalized system here. He says he's got it under control. There's no shortage of law enforcement. Gavin Newsom said he's called in California Highway Patrol.
All right. This is pretty funny. I mentioned this before. Like, hold on. Trump and Elon are arguing with each other. Trump and Elon are arguing with each other. Wait a minute. I hate Elon. Wait, I love Elon. Wait, what am I supposed to do? Best summed up by this Ace Ventura moment. This side or that side? Which one works? I don't know. I hate all of it so much. I hate all of it so much. So there's that. Do I hate Tesla or should I buy a Tesla? All right. Here's a good idea. There, we can read it now. Take Naps put out this this playbook, I suppose. What am I clicking on here? There we go. Playbook to ruin America in 11 easy steps. Number 1, say Trump is a dictator in media and government officials. Then repeat it daily. Have media and government officials say daily that Trump is a dictator. Then you find a reason to riot. Anything can be a reason to riot. And this time, let's just say it's ICE raids. Because, why enforce a law? Besides every obvious reason. Number 4, riot where leftist rule allows rioting. In this case, this would be California. That's a pretty safe assumption. Then, number 5, pretend that enforcement is directed by a dictator instead of for protection. Number 6, then begin the Summer of Love 2.0. Then number 7, blame MAGA. All right. Number 8, convince people to beg for less freedom so that they can be safe. Number 9, use technology to track and trace everyone. Number 10, blame Trump. And then number 11, repeat. So where are we at now? You tell me. Right before begins Summer of Love. Feels about right here. Here's some footage. Ahmed Y. You officially entered the FAFO era. You are seeing more arrests these days. Thank you. Huge difference between protesting and rioting. Huge difference between protesting and rioting. So we're seeing one person taken down here. Michael Schellenberger.
A lot of people are upset about all of these images of rioters in Los Angeles waving the Mexican flag. If the protesters love Mexico so much, people are asking, why are they so upset when the U.S. enforces laws against illegal entry? Now, imagine for a moment that a group of Americans, including myself, were in Mexico City and began throwing bricks at police officers, smashing store windows, setting fire to government vehicles, and waving the American flag. We would not walk away unharmed. And yet in Los Angeles, protesters did exactly that. They attacked law enforcement, blocked ICE agents, and vandalized public buildings. And yet California leaders not only did not defend the law, they condemned those who tried to enforce it.
Go figure.
Governor Gavin Newsom called the deployment of 2,000 National Guard troops to restore order purposely inflammatory. LA Mayor Karen Bass said, "We will not stand for this," referring not to the attacks on police officers or destruction of public property, but to the federal response. She reaffirmed her administration's ties to advocates of illegal immigration and made clear her allegiance was with the protesters, not with law enforcement. Now, what's truly inflammatory is not sending in the National Guard, it's standing by while mobs pelt law enforcement with bricks and fireworks, then accusing those officers of oppression. It's watching public spaces descend into chaos while calling the enforcement of laws the problem. In wealthy neighborhoods, the law is still being enforced. If you torch a car in Beverly Hills, the neighbors are going to demand that you're arrested. If you do it in East LA while shouting political slogans, you're engaging in protest. This two-tiered enforcement is not progressive. It's segregation by another name. It creates one set of expectations for the politically connected and another for the disposable. And in that framework, working people, especially immigrants, families, and hourly wage earners, are abandoned. They're the ones who walk their kids past the open-air drug dealing. They're the ones whose shops are looted and whose cars are stolen. They're the ones who call 911 and wait and wait and wait some more. Now, people sometimes ask me how California can feel so anarchic on the one hand and so authoritarian on the other. The answer is simple. It's not actually a contradiction. California doesn't swing between chaos and control. It imposes both on purpose and at scale. Now, as we saw, when the leader of China comes to San Francisco, the city leaders end illegal camping overnight. California is what happens when the state abandons its duty to protect ordinary citizens while tightening its grip on the law-abiding. California Democrats demanded people show proof of vaccination to enter coffee shops and then allowed people to smoke fentanyl on the sidewalk outside. They fined restaurant owners for trying to survive and then shut down gyms trying to help people stay healthy. Meanwhile, they decriminalized theft, refused to prosecute open drug dealing, and looked the other way as cartel-run fentanyl and methamphetamine networks took over entire neighborhoods.
I'm watching this. I'm trying to figure out a good place to jump in and offer my own commentary, but there's so much good stuff happening. And he's summing up a lot of my experience in Los Angeles and California in general, the frustration of not having any support. The bad dudes get away with almost everything, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting. And it's not okay. We're not supposed to live in situations like that. But unfortunately, it really started to feel like I was inside of an insane asylum. And I'm not doing it. Not doing it. I had to dedicate so much of my life to try to protect the neighborhood that I was in. And it took a lot out of me. I could have been using that energy for different purposes. And so despite having all this opportunity and proximity, there were a lot of other things that I had to put my energy into. And just watching the Summer of Love and watching nobody care. I mean, they did care. They cared about not enforcing laws. They cared about turning America into the purge. And then they cared about demonizing Kyle Rittenhouse for defending where he worked from being burned to the ground. and from defending his life against 3 people trying to take him out. So yeah, I got thoughts on it, but Schellenberger's cooking. I'm just kind of like listening, like no lies detected. Keep going, let him cook.
They demanded that social media companies censored dissent, labeled truth as misinformation, and silenced critics who warned of the obvious collapse. They banned plastic straws, but then passed out crack pipes.
Yeah.
They prosecuted pastors for holding worship services, but refused to prosecute men who beat women unconscious on public transit. This is not confusion, it's deliberate inversion. You could get cited in Pasadena for watering your lawn on the wrong day of the week, but not for operating a meth lab next to an elementary school in Venice Beach. You could lose your job for refusing a booster and keep your taxpayer-funded hotel room while terrorizing pedestrians. You could be banned from Twitter for misgendering someone, but face 0 consequences for selling the fentanyl that kills a person. These are the inevitable outcomes of a broader campaign to dismantle civilization. Now, that may sound extreme, but it's exactly what's happening. California's left does not believe in the legitimacy of the American legal system. It does not believe in borders. It does not believe in the equal application of the law. It sees those things as tools of white supremacy, and so it seeks to undo them. Refuse to prosecute.
And by the way, I don't even know if they believe that drivel. That's just the crap that they say. That's in the playbook. That's what you say. I don't even know if they actually believe it. They're just trying to win. So if that's something that'll shut a couple, and you try to understand, like, why have so many, demographically speaking, why have so many women gone to Democrats, men to Republicans? Why is that? Who are the men that are still on the Democrat side? Who are the less masculine men on the left? Who are the white women on the left? We're trying to break this down demographically. The shame campaign from the media, the Democrat Party, and our education indoctrination system has been demonizing white existence. Just existing is a crime. Just existing is something you should feel shame, deep shame. And you should literally take a knee of subservience to literally anybody who doesn't look like you or something. And the white women have bought into this ideology, women in general. Some white men lacking the testosterone and intestinal fortitude to stand up against that insane racist rhetoric. Yeah, they've gone along with it. But at some point, you step back and realize the toxicity of what someone's trying to force feed you, and you spit it back in their face. Say, excuse me, that was meant for you. You can hold on to your own poison. I'm not swallowing that. So anyway, my whole point was, I don't even know if the Democrats believe that. If the left, the deep state, the globalists, I don't know if they believe that. I think they know it's effective in getting white people to sit down, shut up, so that the radical elements that are supported by a larger percentage, a larger majority of other demographic groups are willing to consider Marxism, communism, Leninism, socialism, all these isms, all the backward isms. But by demographic, hi, Nimbus. Thanks for jumping up onto the set today. Anyway, that thought just kind of got me going there as Schellenberg's cooking. Hi, Nimbus. Nimbus has been challenging the past couple of days. I won't bore you, but my goodness.
Refuse to arrest, refuse to respond, let the system collapse under the weight of its own paralysis. In its place, they promise a new ethic built on harm reduction, lived experience, and the abolition of carceral logic. But the reality is violence, fear, and disorder. During the pandemic, Governor Newsom released nearly 15,000 inmates from prison, including violent offenders, under the banner of public health. A full 1/3 of them victimized people and ended up back in prison.
A third of the people Gavin let out during the Summer of Love riots, the deep state Democrat riots of 2020, they reoffended and ended up back in prison. You never prioritize violent people getting out. Never. But they hate you. They really do just want as much chaos as possible. Hi, Nimbus. You've wanted chaos, haven't you? You've made my life a lot more challenging cleaning up after you the past, well, a lot lately, huh? We won't bore our listeners with that. But thanks for joining the show. Nimbus is purring, so I'll give him a headbutt. But yeah, Gavin Newsom did everything backward and has been doing it for years, just like most of the mayors in most of the blue cities.
For years, Californians were told by their media and political leaders that reports of rising crime were exaggerated or invented. They were told that what they saw with their own eyes was a moral panic. Editorial boards accused concerned citizens of racism and hysteria. News anchors spoke of a crime narrative rather than crime itself. But the data eventually became impossible to deny. The state's own figures now show that California's violent crime rate under Newsom rose to be 31% higher than the national average by the end of 2022. In Los Angeles, aggravated assaults rose 23% between 2019 and 2022. When voters last November tried to take back control by passing Proposition 36 with over 70% support, which allows judges to mandate addiction treatment, Newsom has refused to fund it. The fact of the matter is that the people who run California don't see the riots as a crisis. They see them as a cleansing. They believe civilization itself, in the form of its laws, its borders, and its police, is corrupt at the root. In that worldview, civilization is not progress, it's crime. It's what made the conquest of indigenous people possible. It's what permitted slavery. It's what created capitalism, fossil fuels, families with two parents and fixed addresses. To them, the entire American project is a centuries-long atrocity masquerading as democracy. In their view, public order is not something to protect, it's something to dismantle.
And yeah, there is some of that. There is some of that overarching, just this allegiance to anarchism. It is baked into the cake. It is scrambled into the eggs. It is there. But there's a lot of willing dupes, and there's also a lot of useful idiots along for the ride. So I don't know how many people are actually ideologues into that backward lunatic fringe, but I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong to point all this out. I'm just adding that it's not universal. There's a lot of, and there's probably a lot of good people who are caught up in it because they just say, like, look, I'm a woman. If I get pregnant and I'm not ready to have a kid for any reason, you can't force me to carry a kid into the world. If I can have a procedure, please don't knock over my ring light, buddy. They say, if for any reason, if I decide that I'm not ready to have a child to bring into the universe, that's my choice to make. And anybody that wants to get in the way of that is my enemy. And the Republicans have been against that. So I'm against the Republicans. Therefore, by default, I'm a Democrat. I can understand some people's perspective. Whether I agree with it or not is irrelevant. Take that one issue off the table. I don't know what they're selling to normal people. I know what they're selling to bums. Hey, look at that person over there. They're successful. Go get them. Let's get them. They got too much. Let's go get them. It's the politics of envy and greed. That's universal. I definitely understand that.
The violence we see in the streets is not a failure of their leadership, it's the fulfillment of their ideology. They believe the very existence of American law enforcement is an expression of white supremacy. The burden of all this doesn't fall on the celebrities or the influencers or the politicians who created it. It falls on the working people and the poor, on the elderly, on the immigrants who follow the law, on the single mothers trying to keep their kids safe, on the nurses and teachers and cashiers and delivery drivers who can't afford to leave. It falls on the people who believed that if they worked hard and obeyed the rules, the state would protect them. Instead, the state has turned its back on them. And all the while, we're told that the law is the enemy. The truth is, the law is what makes life livable. It's what allows strangers to live alongside one another. It's what allows parents to send their kids to school, to open a store, to walk home at night. If you're not already a subscriber to Public, please subscribe now.
Buddy, you almost dumped my camera. Whew, he's challenging today. That was a pretty good take from Schellenberger there. You should follow him if you're not following him. That was just, I'm like, let the man cook. I'm just sitting there listening because he made a lot of valid points there. So yeah, Trump's deputies, Los Angeles riots prove that there's a migrant invasion. One of the main technical issues in the immigration judicial battles is whether Biden's border crisis counted as an invasion. Vice President J.D. Vance tweeted, wait, what am I showing you? What's the graphic you have? Let me switch this. Now you can see all of it. There we go. So now we have foreign nationals with no legal right to be in the country waving foreign flags and assaulting law enforcement. If only we had a good word for that. Trump's press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, tweeted, in recent days, violent mobs attacked ICE officers and federal law enforcement agents carrying out basic deportation operations in Los Angeles. These operations are essential to halting and reversing the invasion of illegal criminals into the United States. These criminals will be arrested and swiftly brought to justice. The debate over the invasion label is important because Trump is trying to use the special fast-track deportation powers granted by the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. His overall deportation policy is popular, but several judges have declared that the huge influx of illegal aliens does not add up to an invasion. Well, of course it does. Sean Farash says, after everything that's taken place in Los Angeles, I'm even more dug into this position. Let me go side by side. There we go. I don't care about sob stories. I don't care about how long they've been here. I don't care about if they're good neighbors. I don't care about any of it. Sean says, if you came here illegally, you're not welcome here. Deport every last illegal alien, no exceptions. Enough is enough. So that's my question. Do you agree or do you disagree with that take? Hot take alert. Do you agree or disagree? Enough of the sob stories. Just get it done. I don't know if this is the same Kristi Noem. I'm sorry.
Governor Newsom.
Yeah, Kristi Noem clip from before. Let's see.
Has proven that he makes bad decisions. The president knows that he makes bad decisions, and that's why the president chose the safety of this community over waiting for Governor Newsom to get some sanity. And that's one of the reasons why these National Guard soldiers are being federalized, so they can use their special skill set to keep peace. We're not going to let a repeat of 2020 happen. And if you remember, it all happened in Tim Walz's state in Minneapolis when he let his city burn for days on end. This president cares deeply about family members that want to live in their communities and be safe. Governor Newsom has proven that he makes bad decisions. The president knows that he makes bad decisions, and that's why the president chose the safety of this community.
There you go. Choosing the safety of the community over all else. Ricky Len says, yeah, I got to shift this. Can you read it? Yeah, good. You can read it that way. Protesting means holding a sign with a message on it, not throwing a rock through someone's windshield while they're driving. Stop letting the left skew words to justify blatant crime. Their words no longer hold weight, just like their made-up genders. End of story. Yeah, fiery, but mostly peaceful. We're not doing this again. I'm just going to type not repeating 2020 button. Because we're not. And there we go. American Warrior says, oh no, I did play this one before. Millions of military-aged males who came here illegally are rioting in our largest cities and waving their nation's flags. That's an invasion. Crush these fools. Harry Sisson says, oh my OMG, a Black Hawk helicopter has landed in California carrying dozens of boxes of ammunition, less lethal weaponry. You see these tanks with flammable labels on the side as if they were getting ready for a major battle. This is really bad. Anthony Sabatini says, America is back. Yeah, you don't let the inmates run the asylum. Scott Jennings weighs in.
Well, I think they have good reason to go to war with California because they've done terrible things. The university system there, maybe worse than any other system in the country, terrorized Jewish kids, allowing for Jew exclusion zones on campus and refused to take responsibility for it. That's number one. They're violating the president's executive order and the administration's views on Title IX regarding boys playing girls' sports. And I'll give you a third one that's breaking tonight. The mayor of Los Angeles is saying she's not going to cooperate with the Department of Homeland Security and ICE
John?
As they try to round up illegal.
Is that John Fugel saying? John's he's a very I think that's John Fugel saying. He was our guest last year. He was on with Blake and myself.
Aliens. And so you have a state right now being run by a bunch of people who do not want to comply with clear federal law and clear federal mandates, and somebody needs to confront them. The president is doing it.
Do you really think that this is the best way, this blunt object that is both personal and political, is the way to force California's hand on this?
I do think the confrontation is necessary, but I'll take one part of your argument that I think is worth discussing, and that's the idea of states' rights. So you're saying that in the name of states' rights, we should allow the California university system to set up Jew exclusion zones because they believe it's okay as a state?
No, I granted
Then is the
you those
confrontation not
problems.
worth having on behalf of those students alone?
The confrontation is Donald Trump saying, adopt MAGA values or I'm going to punish you by taking
It's not
federal
MAGA
dollars
values
away.
to
No. That's not MAGA values saying you got to fall in line with Trump or else. That's common sense rule of law. Common sense versus blatant criminality. No, that's not a Trumpism. That's a lawism. Stop it.
Anti-Semitism. It's not MAGA values to
picking
protect
issues.
girls.
You're
it's
picking
not
issues.
MAGA values to deport illegal aliens. It's just American law and American values.
And Donald Trump doesn't care about it. I'm not disagreeing with your issues with California. I don't think this is the right way to do it. And I think 5 or 6 years ago, you wouldn't have either. Because you also believed in conservatism.
I don't know about
right.
I don't know about
5 or 6 years ago. I would.
Well, I think
that was interesting. Yeah, state rights, Nimbus. Hey, buddy, come on. You're starting to get comfortable on my laptop. I'm sorry, on my whatever it is that I'm holding here, my keyboard. There we go. Okay. All right, you're gonna hang out here. Cool. I want to hear more from John Fugelsang. He's out there, man, but he's a talented debater. Bella's Chance says, I totally agree. If someone is here illegally, they're unwelcome and must be deported or leave on their own. It's not rocket science. There's a process. If you're in the process, that's one thing. If you broke in and you're up to no good, goodbye. Red Pill Truth here says, I applaud President Trump and Homeland Security for doing all they can to put down these riots. They must be stopped or we will suffer the consequences, which is the riots we are now seeing due to inaction this time, the last time around. All rioters should be in prison in Gitmo or El Salvador prisons. Due process in the courts can take time so they can enjoy their time waiting for trial. That might be going a little far, right? But then again, how were MAGA supporters treated when they're like 81 million votes? Get the fuck out of here. In 2020, 5, 6, or 7 swing states magically stopped counting. Oh yeah, Trump's up by hundreds of thousands everywhere. Oh, but you know what? We're just going to wait until we can find enough totally legitimate ballots so Biden can win. How were the people that protested that election treated, huh? How were they treated? In a DC gulag? How were they handled? So, forgive me if eye for an eye makes the world go blind. I get it. But if the MAGA supporters were right to call out a completely farcical conclusion, they were supposed to be debating on the floor of the Congress what to do since there was no confidence in those 7 fraud states. Instead, they opened up magnetic locks. They moved bike Ray Epps helping break through barricades and barriers so that they could storm the Capitol. And then you could hear the nonsensical, incessant cries of insurrection for 4 years straight. Oh, they got what they wanted. They rammed through their Biden, and they made Trump the bad guy, and they made all of MAGA very nervous to talk ever again while being censored simultaneously everywhere. Never forget. So I don't know. Do they need to go to Gitmo or El Salvador? I don't know. But the riots have to stop. That's true. And it's happening because it was allowed to happen last time. If you had videos where the bad people are always caught, you're going to find, and here's the deal. You get the first round of the dumbest people doing the most violent things. The second group of second dumbest people and the second most violent group of people, they're going to be a little bit less likely to be stupid again. A little bit less. I don't know to what degree, but less. If you're snatching them all up, eventually you run out of dumb people doing dumb shit. So you go, I'm not risking all that. Better them than me. But when there's no repercussions, no consequences. Yeah, that's when all this shit runs rampant, and it ramps up. It gets exponentially worse. Godfather of Chaos posts this, says things are going to start getting violent nationwide. This is New York. I told you so.
So wild keeping track of both of these scenes.
This is erupting off. Violence there in New York City. This is all outside of a federal building. That officer holding her eye. The person seemingly being detained.
One woman and
yeah, you're going to want to start detaining a hell of a lot of people and pressing charges.
Behind her back, being detained by officers. It's so wild.
Continuing on. This was maybe the first video where the chaos started breaking out. It was this Friday. James scenes from LA look like a collapsing third world war zone. Why? Because radical leftists are rioting over basic immigration enforcement. Local leaders are barely lifting a finger to stop this. President Trump sent 2,000 National Guard to LAPD, ICE, National Guard, everyone on the ground doing what California officials want. Tyler Fisher says, damn, pride parades are getting far too kinky.
Get out.
Here's one of the videos that I just, these cars are motoring 30, 40, 50 miles an hour down the road, and this guy here is just teeing off on all of them. This is attempted murder and the reckless endangerment that could have led to several other homicides or manslaughter. If this driver's knocked unconscious and continues at full speed, veering off into pedestrians, oncoming traffic, it could kill the driver and anybody else in their path. Look at this. See what they're chucking at. There's this guy right here. Wasn't the first one. They are chucking anything. There you go. That's the murder, pal. There goes gun. want every one of these motherfuckers arrested. Every last one. Hog tie them. Send them to jail. Every last one of them. There you go. There's their graffiti. Now, is this facility is construction inside of? And retreat inside of home. They get locked in there? I'll start to play together. Are they burning a building?
Shooting! Go, 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 go,
He's running. We broke in. You have to let us stay. Here's our Mexican flag. Look at this waving our Mexico flag. If you love another country, go to it. You're trying to change this place into Mexico? Get out of here with that. If you snuck in and you're not allowed to be here, it's time to go. I know Dale's Donuts. That's over by... Right over by where they used to have a Conscious Life Expo all the time. Over by the airport. Or wait, Dale's Donuts? I thought it was Randy's Donuts. Did it change?
Their squad cars from North
Hey, is this a peaceful protest or is this some bullshit?
Hollywood Division.
Yeah, that's their move. They lift the lids on and they set the cars on fire. Like, they love doing this now.
Their squad cars from North Hollywood Division.
Stay frosty, people.
Change enforcement of our border laws. And what that did was create what we saw for 4 years of millions of people trying to get into this country using whatever means possible. Millions of them are still here. And
this is Stephanie something. Chloe, no. This is Henry Olsen, a political activist. What channel is this?
The Trump administration is saying they shouldn't have been here. Many of them are here illegally. Many of them are here only under policies that Biden created that made them.
Oh, it's showing Fox behind her, it looks like.
Themselves be illegal, and we're going to get rid of them. And the Democratic Party's leaders seem to say, no, they got here. We're going to keep them here by any means necessary. President Trump has said it is in the national interest to ensure that the national laws regarding immigration are allowed to be executed free of intimidation and violence. And Donald Trump is taking strong legal and constitutional action to do that. And I think he'll be supported by the people.
The pushback from California Governor Gavin Newsom stating, in his opinion, that the presence of the National Guard troops will further incite violence.
Yeah, that's the defund the cops thing. Oh, the presence of police will mean more crime. So get rid of the police. There'll be less crime. No, it's the opposite because water is wet. Guys shouldn't beat up on girls in girls' sports. All the other common sense stuff that Democrats are completely wrong about.
And it's eye-opening because a lot of times we do see officials welcome the presence of the National Guard troops for situations. This does not seem to be the case at this point in time.
This gets back to internal Democratic Party politics. There's a large number of people in the Democratic Party, leaders and many voters, who want open borders. They want to turn a blind eye to the immigration laws. And what Gavin Newsom is doing is what he's always done in his career, which is try and straddle the line. Well, I'm tough on this, but I'm compassionate on that. And he's not acting like a strong leader in public interest. What he's doing is currying favor with the Democratic Party elites and voters who want open borders and using this as a way to provide a cover for what he's doing. If ICE agents can't do their jobs, then the law cannot be enforced. And we have de facto open borders whenever a president comes and opens them up. And that's unacceptable. The American people voted against that. The American people in polls support the removal of all illegal immigrants. Not just people who with public safety records, but all of them. They support Donald Trump and the Republican Party on immigration. The Democrat leaders like Newsom are playing a losing hand by playing to their rabid base. And we'll see that come up in polls, not just in the next few weeks, but in months and years to come. Change enforcement of our border laws. And what that did was create what we saw for.
That was the beginning of that. Yeah, if the Democrats want to keep everybody here no matter how they got here. That's why they've been doing it in the first place. That's cool. But it ain't happening. Get used to it. Nobody likes you, Democrats. Nobody likes you. Oh, that's great from the Babylon Bee. I'm going to share this with you. All right, let me go back here and play you this one. Tim Dillon.
I'm confused. And if you're not confused, you're an op. Truly, if you know the answer, you're an op. I'm no longer speaking to people who aren't dumbfounded and confused because they're incredibly dishonest. Anyone that's not confused is incredibly dishonest. Anyone that has a clear line of shit right now that goes, well, actually, let me tell you what. You're compromised. You're fully. I'm confused. And if you're not confused, you're an op. Truly, if you know the answer, you're.
Yeah. You're either an operation or an operative, or you know exactly what's going on. By the way, I'm going to share this with you in a second. Trump's approval rating on immigration. What has it done? Well, yeah, this is backfiring gloriously. Bella's Chance says, but will he be identified, the rock thrower? Will he be found and arrested? No. Then 2 will be throwing it tomorrow. Now, by the way, that is exactly what America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani would say about the broken window theory. The broken window theory was always, look, if you got an abandoned warehouse, for example, in your neighborhood, and somebody busts a window out, you cannot let it be. You simply must participate in the act of putting a new window in there. If you let a busted window stay busted, the next day, 2 windows will be busted, then 4, then every window will be busted because nobody cares about it. That was the battle I fought in Los Angeles for 15 years. Their bullshit gang graffiti all over our buildings. The hell you are. They'd tag the corners of your buildings. 6-unit, 8-unit, 10-unit, 12-unit buildings. They'd spray paint their bullshit all over it. So that's stuff that they used to tolerate, but they didn't tolerate it when I was there. So what happened? We'd paint over it. And he's like, haha, all right, there we go. But then what would happen? They'd do it again. So what would we do? Yeah, I know. Then we would paint over it again. And then they'd spray paint it. We'd paint it again. And we had to start making sure, look, we need an active supply of the exact paint that was used, the exact kind of paint that was used at this facility, at this building. And we're going to paint it to match every single time it happens. And yeah, it was still a wound. It was still a scab on the building. You could tell that it was touched up because, you know, a weathered building will age differently. And you can see that maybe the darker tones have softened a little bit due to the sunlight, the exposure to UV rays and whatnot. But I mean, it got it pretty close. And then at some point, you just had to accept that each building was going to have those scars at the front-facing parts of the building. The one closest to the sidewalk is where they tag. So almost every one of our buildings had something about 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall. And we kept going. Let's go harder. Let's do it again. I think we even painted on other buildings that weren't our buildings to cover it up. You could call the city. Oh, every time they'd spray paint a stop sign or an electrical box at the corner. No, fuck you. This is our neighborhood, not yours. And it was a constant pissing match. Constant. You either let your community devolve into a drug and gang-ridden hellhole, or you stood up and you pushed back. It can be done. It just takes willpower. It can be done. If it can be done in the hood, it can be done anywhere. So yeah, if you're not confused right now, you're part of the problem. Benny Johnson saying that every single person, there we go, you can see it. Every single person in this photo can be charged and prosecuted by the Department of Justice under statutes used by Democrats against the J6 protesters. Do it. Let's see the shoe on the other foot then. Maybe. Cat Turd says, give everyone who interferes with immigrations and customs enforcement 5 years in prison, and I promise it will stop. We said, this has always been the way. Once the first wave are arrested, the second dumbest group might have a moment to reconsider their choices. Yeah, what even happened here? Hang on. Now voting against Caruso button. This guy who wants to run LA says there is no emergency or widespread threat or out of control violence in LA, and absolutely no danger that justifies deployment of the National Guard, military, or other federal force to the streets of this or any other Southern California city. Local law enforcement is capable of handling the situation and should arrest anyone causing violence in the streets. We must call for calm in the streets, and deployment of the National Guard may prompt just the opposite. Oh, he's getting absolutely ratioed. Rick Caruso used to be like the alternative to, Gavin Newsom or Bass or like backwardness. Now it's time to turn on Caruso. Need a new leader in Los Angeles, that's for sure, in California. Absolutely ratioed in the comments. What is this one here? They're posting at the Metropolitan Detention Center. They're posting Antifa. Wow, kill a cop. Chingala Migra, dead cops, they're saying all sorts of violent, radical ideology, treasonous, invading army stuff, trying to convince an entire nation to let you stay by threatening to off their cops is going to work so well. I promise. Here you go, burning vehicle. Protesters light an American flag on fire in another Waymo fire. Still no police or firefighter response. Fires things are quickly escalating. My license, quick. Wait, what? The fire is there. Oh, it's got a light. Let me get on. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Run it. Hey, there's a. Look at all these self-driving cars when you set them on fire, just absolutely cheering this on. As if Waymo self-driving cars have literally anything to do with this. Representative Mary Miller says, the anti-American rioters in California are being organized and funded. This is a coordinated assault on our sovereignty. The American people deserve to know who is behind it and why. Agree. Follow the money. Matt Walsh says, we're constantly told about all the wondrous benefits that hardworking Mexicans bring to our country. And yet Mexico, with all of its Mexicans, is a dysfunctional shithole that Mexicans desperately want to escape. Something isn't adding up here. This is a pattern repeated over and over again. We're told that immigrants are integral to building and maintaining our country. And yet these immigrants apparently couldn't build or maintain their own countries, which is why they ran away and came here. So, Do you agree or disagree with Matt Walsh? I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
I'm about to say some pretty unpopular things, starting with this is not good. Also, this is not a peaceful protest. But something very disturbing is happening in the background that I think you should know about. It's time to deploy Palantir to Los Angeles to deal with the illegals. You know you love to see it. You're lying if you say you wouldn't. This is the grand plan. Okay, it's not an accident that cars are burning on the streets and people are waving foreign flags on the streets. There is something they're trying to manufacture consent for. Remember, when they justified the passing of the Patriot Act over 20 years ago, they told us we needed all this extra power to go after the bad guys, to get rid of the terrorists. But almost immediately, the government started to use that extra power they were given to spy on ordinary Americans, right? How can you be so sure that you will not be deemed an enemy of the state one day? There's absolutely no guarantee that this master database won't be weaponized against you. And to be perfectly honest, history tells us that the likelihood is pretty high that it will be used against you one day. So to quote RFK Jr., 1, any power that the government takes from the people, it will never.
And it's dawning upon me that random music is playing in the background of yet another fucking video that might get censored by Google, YouTube, so that they'll limit our reach from going out to the entire universe, because this dipshit played music that may or may not have cleared the licensing protocols. Damn it all. I am so immune to it because so many videos have random music behind it. Doggone it all.
Return voluntarily. 2, every power that the government takes, it will ultimately be
power will be abused to the maximum extent possible. 3, nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. The only thing we can do is resist. Be careful out there, people. So be careful about Palantir. Doggone it. And if you're not familiar with Palantir, we did a deep dive into that a couple episodes ago. 2, 3, 4 episodes ago. Something from last week, I believe. Darn background music. Anyway, carrying on. Mayor Karen Bass, look at this.
But people should also exercise that right peacefully. We do not want to play into the administration's hands. We're working with officials, we're organizing resources, but what we're seeing in Los Angeles is chaos that is provoked by the administration. When you raid Home Depot and workplace.
No. Your organized violence is the chaos. The Democrat deep state violence is the chaos. You're not pinning this on Trump. It's your chaos. You own it.
When you tear parents and children apart, and when you...
No, the actions, the illegal actions of the parents and children led to the situation. That's not something that MAGA did. That's something you are covering for.
Run armored caravans through our streets, you cause fear.
There should be fear from people who are in the country illegally. What do you think? They're supposed to be comfortable breaking the laws?
And you cause panic. And
no, the actions, the illegal actions that your side have perpetrated are causing the panic. Don't pin it on us. You've been the one money laundering. You've been the one human trafficking. You've been the one opening the border. You've been the one smuggling humans into all sorts of trafficking and work abuses for how long? By the way, an underreported component to this is how many people who have been human trafficked here are being freed from slavery right now. Very underreported. Working 80 hours in a sweatshop as a slave because they were human smuggled here as a subhuman under the guise of your Democrat Party saying, yeah, it's just not that big of a deal. Yeah, if people smuggle illegal aliens in, it's fine. Yeah, when they're getting exploited every single day, that's not okay. You see, standing up against the exploitation of illegal aliens is something I'm doing. It's something that MAG is doing. And it's something Karen Bass is running cover on. She's a part of it by allowing it.
Deploying federalized troops is a dangerous escalation.
No, the dangerous escalation is, say, setting cop cars on fire, you nitwit.
But we need to be real about this. This is about another agenda. It's not a
No, it's about the very specific agenda of don't break into America. And if you do, you're going.
About public safety.
We have no idea who these people are, for what purposes they're here. It's an illegal invading army of military-aged men, pre-positioned, waiting for the signal to potentially activate as an army of Manchurian candidates, a Trojan horse opening up like Ukrainian trucks inside of Moscow to unleash an army of drones. No, we know damn well what's going on, and we're not letting you get away with it, Karen Bass.
Clearly no plan, and there is clearly no policy.
Clearly the plan, clearly no policy. No, there's clearly no legal policy that has allowed these sanctuary cities and sanctuary states to be moving forward. That's what is being undone here.
I want the people of Los Angeles to know that we stand with all Angelenos, no matter where.
No. Angelenos are citizens of Los Angeles, which makes them citizens of the United States. Illegal aliens are not the people you stand with, lady.
Where you were born, the First Amendment.
No, it does matter where you were born.
Right gives you the ability, again, to protest peacefully.
No, you do not. Look, she's conflating standing at the park with the sign and you pass around the megaphone and people have some stuff to say with burning cop cars, burning the Waymos, attacking cops with rocks, attacking other people, just massive citywide damage and looting of stores. No, you're conflating what you're doing with a peaceful protest. And I'm not going to let you get away with it, Karen Bass.
But it does not give you the right to be violent, to create chaos, or to vandalize property.
You're giving cover to exactly that thing, Karen.
And that will not be tolerated.
No, California and Los Angeles have been tolerating it. You're lying to us. We're watching you tolerate it because you have no cojones to protect your citizens from the illegal aliens and the illegal acts happening across the city. Shame on you, Karen Bass.
So I call on all Angelenos to continue expressing your right, your anger, your outrage.
Express anger. Is that a call to violence?
But to do it peacefully. And I just have to say that all of
I don't know, sort of talking out of both sides of her mouth. Remember, like you said, when President Trump said, you need to go and make your voices heard at the Capitol peacefully and patriotically. Yeah, but he also said, fight like hell.
You were there Friday. Everybody knows what happened Friday.
Friday? Is she saying Friday?
Several workplaces were targeted and raids took place. Now, in their first.
Yeah. You target and you raid places that are engaged in human trafficking, human smuggling, exploitation, and illegal immigration activity. That's how it works. Name a mayor more in over her head than Karen Bass. But that's the thing. Is she a helpless dupe or is she a co-conspirator? I think she's a co-conspirator. So in over her head is maybe not the right way to say it. Nope, that didn't work. Let me try this way. David Nino Rodriguez says, question. Oh, hold on. There, can we see this? Yes. That's a sneeze that didn't happen. Question. How is there hundreds of printed banners and signs with the protests? That was quick. This takes money. I thought this was organic. GTFOOH. Get ice out of California. Guy Benson asked this question. If a right-wing movement had burned down a governor's mansion, murdered 2 foreign diplomats, and firebombed kids and elderly people at a peaceful protest in the span of a few weeks, what would the coverage look like? What sort of national conversation would we be having? Isn't that a great question? Because we're there. We're having the national conversation right now. James Woods, if I hear one more leftist shill in mainstream media utter the words peaceful protests, I'll throw up. Agreed. How long is this post? Oh, the quote attributed to Alexander Hamilton is authentic from his 1802 examination number 8. Geiger Capital says, can you see this? Yes, you can. Okay, good. Alexander Hamilton, a founding father of the United States and an immigrant himself, literally warned us about future leaders allowing mass immigration. Reads as if he wrote it for today. Quote, the consequences that must result from a too unqualified admission of foreigners. The safety of the republic depends essentially on the energy of a common national sentiment, on a uniformity of principles and habits, on the exemption of the citizens from foreign bias and prejudice, and on that love of country which will almost invariably be found to be closely connected with birth, education, and family. The mass influx of foreigners must, therefore, tend to produce a heterogeneous compound, to change and corrupt the national spirit, to complicate and confound public opinion, to introduce foreign propensities in the composition of society. The harmony of the ingredients is all important, and whatever tends to a discordant intermixture must have an injurious tendency. Say it in English, Doc. The United States have already felt the evils of incorporating a large number of foreigners into their national mass. It has served very much to divide the community and to distract our councils. By promoting in different classes of different predilections in favor of particular foreign nations and antipathies against others, it has been often likely to compromise the interests of our own country in favor of another. To admit mass foreigners indiscriminately to the rights of citizens, the moment they put foot in our country, would be nothing less than to admit the Trojan horse into the citadel of our liberty and sovereignty. There you go. Use my Trojan horse analogy. As an immigrant himself, Alexander Hamilton's success highlights immigration's benefits, but he feared foreign influences could divide the nation. Reflecting his era's tensions with Jefferson's policies, modern debates vary. Some see his concerns as relevant to national security. Others view them as outdated, emphasizing immigration's economic and cultural contributions. His views are complex, balancing caution with the potential of immigration. Yeah, it's almost like they knew what they were talking about or something. Wow. That comment was aggressive. Peter says, deranged is allowing your city to burn and law enforcement to be attacked. There's plenty of room for peaceful protests, but zero tolerance for attacking federal agents who are doing their job. The National Guard and Marines, if need be, stand with ICE. That's from Pete Hegseth. Gavin says, the Secretary of Defense is now threatening to deploy active duty Marines on American soil against its own citizens. This is deranged behavior. No, deranged is allowing your city to burn and law enforcement to get attacked. Because we're not allowing the Democrats to pull another 2020. See some of that launching off the top of a freeway overpass. Energy right here. That's not peaceful. Blue cities allow their terrorists to destroy their cities. Look at this. With Warren, peaceful protests. Kamala Harris, overwhelmingly peaceful. Cory Booker, peaceful protests. Gavin Newsom, under control. LAPD without incident. They're clearly getting attacked. What an this is what an invasion looks like. This is the consequences of Biden's Has the real insurrection begun? Agree or disagree? Taking a poll. President Trump had a reaction. He said, a once great American city, Los Angeles, has been invaded and occupied by illegal aliens and criminals. Now, violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations. But these lawless riots only strengthen our resolve. I'm directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, in coordination with all other relevant departments and agencies, to take all such action necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to these migrant riots. Order will be restored, the illegals will be expelled, and Los Angeles will be set free. Thank you for your attention to this matter. JD says this moment calls for decisive leadership, and the president will not tolerate rioting and violence. Elon chimes in with American flags. There's Gavin Newsom. Hey, yep. Gavin's California, just letting it burn. AI generated, of course. Never vote Democrat again. That was a comment there. David Nino Rodriguez, more to come. This is exactly what the military-aged male illegals were brought in for. Hey, it's kind of eerily reminiscent. Remember that? Check out this intro for the New American Media. Doesn't it sort of remind you of this? Yeah, that's a nation in distress. The volume. When this restarts, listen to the amount of explosions. It's like our intro. Mogadishu or Iraq. Los Angeles. Longer than I remember. Let's go down to history, baby. Okay, right after this. Living in Los Angeles, so I really don't. Here you go. All those explosions. That sounds just like. They're shockingly similar. The upside down flag is a nation in distress. Looters are now seizing convenience store and emptying cash registers. You know, because of immigration.
You guys want the inside scoop right here?
Right, immigration.
Look, oh man, everyone's like looting, bro.
Why they're looting?
Looters, bro. Straight, look at this. That's so sad. What is this?
Gross.
Look at this. Oh my God.
Want Americans more strongly
You want to risk me getting stabbed?
Border measures.
Thank you. Look, they already gave up. They already understand.
Americans really are.
You guys want the inside scoop right here?
Violent, thieving opportunists. Ashamed of nothing, offended by everything, contributes nothing, entitled to everything. Wow. That's well said. Like the disgusting. What did that person do to anybody? Shame on them. Shame, shame, shame on them. I'm saying that a lot because it's so stupid.
You know, let's hope that no one is hurt and no one is injured and it doesn't escalate from here. Look at the flag. Yeah, Guy, I see
there it is.
You
Mexican flag can, you know.
Looks like an invasion. Benny Johnson says when someone shows you who they are, believe them. They're not innocent immigrants looking for a better life. They're militant, parasitic invaders looking to destroy and destabilize a country they did not build and do not love. Mass deportation.
This is criminal activity that I hope is people are held accountable for. And I'm talking about the riots right here.
Where are the cops?
Yeah, where are they? You know, let's hope.
They're showing you who they are. Yeah, I did say this before, but I'll just read it one more time since it's up here and it's one of the better arguments you can make. Gutfeld says, trying to find a country to establish a sanctuary city where I can burn shit while waving my native country's flag, while violently demanding they don't send me back to the native country of the flag I'm waving. Is there a country I can terrorize, then demand sympathy when they want me to leave? I said, yeah, how about England? American Warrior says millions of military-aged males who came here illegally are rioting in our largest cities and waving their nation's flags. That's called an invasion. Crush these fools. All right, I guess I shared that twice. Here's this lady.
You have outliers that throw things and...
Oh, there's a couple outliers who throw things. Look at this sad fake face. Look at this painted on sad sack face. Who is this liar? Representative Judy Chu of California? What a liar. New Democrat clip of the year, says James Dunn. Brain dead Dem Judy Chu says LAPD has riots under control, while MSNBC shows a split screen of cop cars on fire. She calls the riots mostly peaceful.
And cause damage. And so, yes, the LAPD came in and they called it an unlawful assembly. I believe that the LAPD has this underhand, and they are very, very experienced in riot control. So this is something that they can handle. We do not have to have the National Guard here.
Imagine lying so that your community could be destroyed. Imagine how low you have to sink. How much bribery or blackmail would it take for you to sell out your countrymen? That is, do you consider Californians your countrymen? Do you consider Americans to be your countrymen? And women?
We certainly do not have to have the Marines here.
You know what that sounds like to me? You definitely need the Marines there.
This is a manufactured crisis.
A manufactured crisis because of the inept air quote leadership of Karen Bass, Gavin Newsom, the Democrat Party.
And we do not need the Insurrection Act.
Meaning you probably need the Insurrection Act.
And that is an understatement.
That is an overstatement.
And again, there's a distinction because in many cases where there's a natural disaster or there's civil unrest,
you have
trying to hedge its bets. Good luck. President Trump puts out paid insurrectionists. Eric Daughtry says, yes, they are. Investigate them all and invoke the Insurrection Act. Insurrection Act on the way? Question mark. Danielle D'Souza Gill says in 2020, Democrats set towns on fire in the name of defunding the police. Now they're setting towns on fire to stop the deportation of criminal illegal aliens. Have you ever seen Democrats fight as hard for the American people No. Dan Bongino says, if you choose violence tonight, this message is for you. We will be investigating and pursuing all available leads for assault on a federal officer, in addition to the many arrests already made. And although we'll pursue every case, we don't need to catch every single perp. We just need to catch you. A short time ago, the director and I notified our teams to use all of our investigative and technological tools to pursue you long after order is firmly established. We will not forget, even after you try to. The gay Republican says we don't need to have a civil war. We just need to arrest the Democrat militants rioting in Los Angeles. El Salvador taught us one truth. If you arrest the criminals, society has peace again. And we said we screamed this for 15 years in Los Angeles. And then we finally left because they refused to lock up the bad guys. All right, Tim Dillon talking about Palantir. He's everywhere. Take a listen. Palantir's everywhere too.
You have not one reservation about what's going on over there. I'm not saying you have to feel one way or another way, but if you don't have any if you have no reservations about what's happening with all these kids getting killed, I don't know, I can't trust you. If you don't have any reservations about Palantir taking everyone's information, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you. I think they're buying people left and right. This is my guess.
And he says he thinks they might have made him an offer, a low-key offer, and he's like, I'm not even going to participate. I don't want to put myself in that situation. It's like you don't want to go back to somebody's hotel room if you're not interested in maybe partaking in the activities. You know, don't put yourself in that spot. People made fun of Mike Pence all the time that he wouldn't be alone in a room with another woman. It's like, well, you want to know the best way to not get accused of something? Don't put yourself in a situation where an accusation could be made. You know. Again, beginning of the week, what kind of arraignments will we see this week? Yeah. Arrangements or arraignments. I'm going to have to expect some arrests being made. There has to be a press conference with Bongino and Bondi and Patel or whatever saying, from this video, we identified this person and this person. We're offering $1,000 if you can identify this person and this person. We will arrest the people involved with the criminality in Los Angeles. That's what's going to make an impact to quell this stuff. That's what's going to make an impact. You have to. Anyway, but Tim Dillon, he's kind of getting at the fact that he feels like they're trying to buy off influencers to push the Palantir's fund. Here he goes.
They try to buy me. My pussy costs a lot of money. I get invited to these dinners. I don't go. I've been invited to Teal's house multiple times for dinner. I don't go. It's no shade at them or whatever, you know? The reason I don't go is I remember one dinner, they're like, we'd like to discuss the media. I go, what? No, thanks. We'd like to discuss dinner. We discuss the media and culture. No thanks. Appreciate it. That's fine. Don't need a. Here's what I'm doing every week. I'm discussing the media. Hey, good news. I have a show. You can listen to it. You can listen to it if you're curious about. But I've been to some of these places. I've sat in these houses in Austin with these tech people. And I know what they want. And I know what they want me to go out and cheerlead for and say, well, it's actually a great idea. And there's probably a lot of money in it. There's probably a lot of money. And I just can't do it. It's not because I'm some great moral I wouldn't be good at it. I'd be terrible at coming on here going, well, the good thing about the list. Well, no, if you actually think about the list this way, all my people that listen every week go, what the fuck happened? What the fuck happened to him?
Let me tell you all right, let me jump in. Oh, what kind of arrests should we expect? Yeah, like I said, they have to, David. They have to make arrests. They just have to. And they have to like say, we've gone through the footage and we've already found a bunch. And by the way, it's not snitches get stitches. It's snitches get $1,000. We want to know who threw this cinder block. Who is this guy? Let's go get him. Go get him. The thing that I'm trying to understand about Palantir, though, where Tim's like, oh, if you came out with a perspective that's anything other than hating it. But the perspective I'm looking at is, isn't our information already in a government database? Social Security was a government database, and it was so old and so pointless. You had 10, 20, 30 million people who were taken off the rolls that were over 120 years old. A system that was allowing dead people to cash checks. Maybe not all those people, probably not all those people, definitely not all those people, but a number. And so if you're just updating what's already there, what's the problem? Explain that to me like I'm a 2-year-old. Because, yeah, then it turns into, well, they're going to try to turn it into like the Chinese social credit score system. And you don't want that. And I'm like, no, I don't want that. That's the alternative. There's nothing in between. But I'm out on Palantir. I'm out after he said that he took out the right in Europe. And we see that Europe's been conquered. Nah, I'm good. I don't want the left to conquer the United States. We just fought back and pushed them out. Not letting them back in. Yes, I will bet, Bella. I will bet you a can of Fancy Feast. I'll bet you a can of Fancy Feast. There will be arrests, I promise you. And if not, I will buy you a can of Fancy Feast. Your selection, your flavor. Okay.
So my prediction, and I don't want to name names because I don't know, but my prediction is you're going to see a lot of people over the next 6 months start thinking this list's a great idea. They're going to start telling you how great this is and how it's about terrorism. That's the what that'll start going. Well, it's a terror. Have you heard? It's terrorism going to. This is going to happen. If you have not one reservation about...
Okay, I think that reset there. But yeah, you should have reservations about Palantir. I'm out on them. But it's also like how government employees, in order to process their retirement paperwork, you had to go deep into a mine shaft that was excavating salt in North Dakota or something, a trillion miles underground. It's like, it doesn't seem efficient. So updating that is totally fine. Yeah, how much longer are they going to allow this garbage to continue everywhere? Well, look, I think I posted something recently, and it's like, you don't see this happening in red states now, do you? Do you? You'll have little flare-ups, but not to the extent that blue cities, blue states, like they work hand in hand with the terrorists. They are a part of the funding mechanisms. The Soros, the Antifa, the BLM, they're on the same team. They're in coordination. Their camps coordinate with each other. It's been going on for decades. The paper trail is a mile long. Bella laughs. I go through at least 4 a day. Bro, those are rookie numbers. You're going to have to pump up those numbers. Those are rookie numbers. How many cats do you have, Bella? No, I probably go through 3 or 4 cans a day. 1 at breakfast, 1 at dinner, and then usually at least 1 in between. Usually, at least. What are the favorite flavors? Mine likes pate. My one cat will eat anything. My other cat, God bless him, I don't know what's going on with his inability to do what he's supposed to do in the normal spots. Ugh, I've had to clean up more than... Won't bore you with it, but oh my goodness, I don't get it. Why? All right, off of Tim Dillon now. What happened? Back to Tim Dillon now? Okay, good. When you throw rocks at California Highway Patrol and then you catch a 40 millimeter to the face. Yeah, Alameda Street, Union Station. Is this the 10? This might have been exactly where I was stuck underneath. Anyway.
Right there. That shit! Oh, that shit right on my fucking head! They're gonna come this way. Maybe they hit somebody in the head. They hit somebody in the head? Yeah, right here. Oh, fuck. Right there. That shit! Oh, that shit right on my fucking head! They're gonna come this way.
This comment. I hope the 40 millimeters okay. I don't know. There were J6 people that got hit with stuff and they shouldn't have been hit, but they're in the middle of a clusterfuck too. There he is down there. Yeah. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, Supreme Architect of the Universe, please watch over the independent journalists that are just trying to document these situations, including my buddy, who just landed in Los Angeles this morning to go into the chaos. They don't deserve to get hit in the face, but being so close to chaos obviously puts them in danger. So please keep your angels over to watch over them. In your name we pray, amen. So mote it be. Gentry Geaver says Gavin Newsom is suing Trump because Trump wants to deport his whole voter base. Astute take. Here we go. Button. Yeah, Newsom suing Trump because Trump wants to deport his whole voter base. Illegal aliens can't vote. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So here you go. Here's Gavin, the theater kid, trying to challenge Tom Homan. And I'll play you a clip in a minute because President Trump seems to have bought into it, but here you go.
Hands off these poor people just trying to live their lives, man.
Poor people who are just trying to live their lives, man. They broke into America, man. They broke into Los Angeles, man. They're illegally here. They have rap sheets a mile long and they're degrading the quality of life here in Los Angeles, man. They're human smuggling. They're participating in sex trafficking and child abuse. And they're just, kind of doing what makes them feel good, man. Like, who are we to have an opinion, man?
Trying to live their lives, paying their taxes, been here 10 years.
Paying taxes.
The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy?
Huh? This is all created by their actions, not on Trump.
Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop.
So he says growing up is not enforcing the law. No. Growing up is acting like an adult and trying to clean up your fucking mess, Gavin. You got it twisted. You got it backwards.
And we need to push back. And I'm sorry.
You need to push back. A push is a violent act. Are you calling for more violence?
Sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go. Get your hands off these poor.
Cosplaying as a martyr. Illegals aren't paying taxes. Yeah, they love to say, oh, well, all the money that illegal aliens pay, they pay all these taxes. No, they're working for cash under the table. They're not paying taxes. They try to say there's an economic impact to them buying stuff, and then they pay taxes on that stuff that somebody else would have bought. No, they're not paying into Social Security. They're not paying into Medicare, Medicaid. They're just taking. Or they're impersonating the identity of somebody else and fraudulently having taxes taken out. And then once they're in the system under a wrong Social Security number, they could be voting to overthrow our elections. No, it's a mess. They're not paying taxes. Just trying to get along, trying to get by. So there's a question. Do you think Gavin Newsom is going to get arrested? Anthony Costas says, I discovered a pallet of some scripts from his own labs. near where protesters were earlier today. They grabbed this stone from the pallets and broke it into smaller pieces to launch toward police. This is the only pallet here and in a random building corner. Permanent speed, this is not a protest. Democrat socialist rebellion against the U.S. government. Democrat correction demonstrated violence. Riot. How odd. Alex projectile. All right. You see that? That right there could easily kill a person. Look at this. Look at the size. Look at that. That is a solid stone that would absolutely kill somebody underneath. Absolutely. Mostly peaceful. No, not mostly peaceful. Not buying it. Civil War or World War? Well, one of the posts I'm about to share here, and I'm going to start wrapping this up, is what you're seeing is the kinetic energy of World War III coming to the homestead. All the sleeper cells that Biden, Obama, the Democrats placed here, they're being activated. You're seeing probably more Palestinian flags than you're seeing Mexico flags. The World War is here. The Civil War is here. And what comes next? I mean, every day we're going to be unpacking it together. Bella's Chance. 4 kitties. Bella. Oh, and Chance. And Annie and Eli. Okay. A while ago, you worked in downtown Boston. Now you wouldn't go there for any amount of money. The mayor is upping the illegals from shelters to paid apartments. Oh, my God. What's her name? Michelle Wu or something? Is that her name? Yeah, I was in Boston a couple years ago to watch Baker Mayfield take on the Patriots. Baker suffered a shoulder injury, and he sucked in that game. We went and scored a touchdown. That was the only points we scored that day. But to be fair, they were free tickets, and that was awesome. Free tickets minus the flight and the hotel and the food. But yeah, we got to go to the Green Dragon Tavern. You ever go to the Bella? Sorry, Sid. Have you ever been to the Green Dragon Tavern? That was where the American colonists participated in their riot. It was called the Boston Tea Party. And they dumped all the tea, but they planned it at the Green Dragon Tavern. I guess the place burned down in the 1600s or 1800s. I guess they met there in the 1700s. I think it burned down in the 1800s, and then they rebuilt it in the same spot. Yeah, paying illegals rent is crazy. It's happening in Canada. It's just a concerted effort to get rid of sovereign nations, and it must be resisted at all costs. Because if everything's blurred together in one pile of goo, it's not going to be worth saving. There's going to be nothing of value left. Red Pill Truth says, when you dehumanize a president and his staff and the people who voted for him, you are responsible for encouraging the aimless, weak-minded, and yet motivated crazies to commit violence. They feel they're obligated to take whatever action possible to defeat a perceived enemy or wrong. The lying propaganda media and the Democrats are 100% responsible for the violence that we're seeing. Bold words. But do you agree or disagree with Red Pill Truth? Democrats and media, 100% responsible. Real State of America reports Russia has accused China of stealing military technology. You know, this is weird. China and Russia have been aligning themselves quite a bit. They share a border. They are superpowers and rivals, but they've also been enemy of my enemy is my friend type shit. Now, you're seeing a rift. The game plan of the globalists is to take out Putin. Putin is pushing a Christian Russian orthodoxy. He's pushing against the deep state. And the godless deep state is really trying to destroy him. I'm not a Putin puppet. I'm not doing this to him. I don't care. I don't love the guy at all. I don't care. I don't really have strong opinions. He's a world leader that you could pin a bunch of terrible stuff on, and you could probably point to some things and you go, hey, they're doing something right. But they do seem to be the major obstacle in the way of the deep state. Deep state also tried to take President Trump out in Butler, so maybe is it the U.S. and in Russia against the world? I don't know, because the United States deep state has been at war with Russia since 2014 when they overthrew Ukraine, tried to push for the UN to go seize land in Russia, Crimea, the areas that defected from the corrupt Ukraine, said we want to be with Russia, and then sparking a potentially nuclear World War III. So it's interesting to me to kind of unpack this and read this report. Not certain if this is true, but here we go. Russia has accused China of stealing military technology, recruiting Russian officials, and showing interest in Russia's Far East. That's where they border. Russia's FSB has warned that China poses a serious threat to national security, labeling it an emerging enemy of Russia. Hey, do you want to see a great way to convince America that America? Here you go. The illegal aliens are burning America. Oh, wow. More of this. Which is totally like these things. We really want to be here. They appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, they're proving Donald Trump right. That's good. And the new polls. Got to mute this. Mike Ben says it's crazy. This riot is in Los Angeles while the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, was for 6 years on the board of NED, the CIA cutout that specializes in starting riots and street protests. Before she helped the CIA start riots, she was a community agitator, organizer, like Obama, who professionally organizes protests. A professional rioter, a professional community agitator, just like who? Barack Hussein Obama. President Trump posted, "Arrest the people in face masks now." Trump says, "Looking really bad in LA. Bring in the troops." Now, what was this? An old clip from Saturday Night Live was dug up from 2022. Kenan Thompson is seen here wearing a Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Steeler hat. And he talks about putting someone on the roof to pew, pew, pew. In hindsight, is that a reference to Butler?
Sorry. All right. Well, good luck with the World War. And not that you care what a roofer thinks about Putin, but maybe you should put someone up on a roof and ping pong, pow, pow, pow. Yeah, have a good one. Thank you, Mr.
And they're doing a Jen Psaki and Joe Biden. Like, that guy's way too coherent to be Joe Biden.
Sorry.
He has a confused face. Anything to this? I'd never seen this before. I'd never watched that. What do you think? Is there anything to that weird coincidence? On Saturday Night Live, put someone on a rooftop and he's wearing the Pittsburgh Steelers hat. Why the Steelers? Sid is saying, it seems there's no one in the world that China won't steal from. Agreed. To be fair, though, however, you can kind of say the same about the United States. You know, I've tried to put myself in the shoes of Greenland or Canada. I say that intentionally. And I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, there'd be a million benefits to joining Team USA, but like on the flip side, like, I kind of don't want to be governed by these sociopaths that have rang up $37 trillion in debt and can't find a nation they wouldn't love to bomb for profit. You know, like, I'm trying to be Team America, and I am Team America. But on the flip side, if you're not, America's kind of like Anderson Varejao or Draymond Green, like one of these aggressive and high energy, pseudo, occasionally dirty players in the NBA. You love them when they're on your team, and you hate them when you have to play against them. Democrats settle on excuse for LA riots. Here you go. It's Trump's fault for enforcing the law. Get ready for it. Get used to it. It's Trump's fault for enforcing the law. That's what Democrats have allegedly settled on as an excuse for the LA riots. And by the way, as we're fighting the patriarchy or standing for trans rights, or hold on, let me read the script. What are we angry about today? Immigration is going after criminal illegal aliens who are in this country and getting them out. Oh, okay. In solidarity, we're going to steal a bunch of basketball sneakers. You ain't third foo. Okay. They called these protesters. These aren't protesters. These are looters. Come looters. Look at that. All the shirts they can grab off the shelves. All the shoes they can steal. Let's go. You know, for equality, for justice, for immigration. I know. Sadly, I am right about America. When you're on Team America, you want to like us, and it's like, well, you know, we're bold and we're brash, but we get the wins. And from the outside, you're like, oh my God, I hate this guy. I get it. But I'm trying to change America from the inside. All the weak people from the shit countries that flee to come here and then bring their shit ideology here to turn America to shit. I'm giving everything I have to make this country a better country by getting rid of Obama, Biden, by getting rid of Liz Cheney, Mitt Romney, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell. The only thing worse than a Republican's a Democrat. I hate them both. I do like some MAGA. Not everything MAGA. I like a lot of what I've seen from MAGA. Not everything. I am fighting like hell to make this place better. I haven't bolted yet, but I do reserve the right to. The definition of insanity is in staying in Los Angeles, California year after year and watching nothing change. At some point, you just throw your hands up and go, I'm out. Forget it. I'm done. I'm done. Not doing it anymore. Look, somebody called the rioters protesters. Fisher King says, look at the cars burning in LA and think of how many similar scenes you've observed over the years coming out of the UK, France, Germany, Ireland. All these countries had massive third world immigration, uncontrolled or vetted from different populations, but it all turned out the same. It all turned out the same. They have no skin in the game. They have no shared history, no shared values, no commonality. That's why you don't allow massive unchecked migration anywhere. Alex says, General Flynn predicted that staged Los Angeles riots would be the trigger for an attempted Democratic Party coup against America 7 months ago. Well, damn. Sounds like someone's over the target. Jason D. Meister says the LA riots are a planned psyop. The Democrats are funding, coordinating, and orchestrating violent riots in Los Angeles in order to frame Trump as a dictator for trying to restore law and order. Prepare for massive civil unrest this entire summer. 2020 was the summer of love. 2025 will be the summer of jihad. What's unfolding in Los Angeles is going to rapidly spread to every major Democrat-run city in our country. It's the red-green axis. Marxists and Islamists and the military-aged illegal men who flooded into our country under Biden have all teamed up to wreak havoc upon our country. President Trump gets involved. This is a little loud, I think. Talking about Gavin Newsom, who's daring Tom Homan to come in and arrest him. Should he do it?
Gavin Newsom he's daring Tom Homan to come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I was Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it's a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look.
I would do it if I were Tom Homan. I think it's great. Go after Gavin Newsom, arrest him.
I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget.
Look at that little railroad he's building.
We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
What does your intel tell you about the people causing all the problems?
Are they people ISIS trying to...
Look at his train. It's over budget. Look at my flagpole. It's under budget. I'm always under budget.
Support, or are they professional agitators?
The people that are causing the problem are professional agitators. They're
from the same school of Barack Hussein Obama, community agitators.
Insurrectionists.
Insurrectionists.
Bad people. They should be in jail. Thank you.
There you go. The president has chimed in. I say TikTok, Gavin, although it might not be a wise move to let him trick us into turning him into a martyr. Then again, go get him. Then again, go get him.
It's a
Bannon has thoughts.
Political, cyber, psychological, economic warfare that has now gotten into its kinetic phase. What's happening in Los Angeles, in San Francisco last night, is the beginning of the kinetic phase here in the United States.
It's happening. World War III on U.S. soil. You wonder why it looks like a foreign country in these riots? Because foreigners are doing it. That's why you don't let them in. Oh, that's so harsh, Brian. That's harsh? Look around. Look around. What's harsh is tolerating this stuff. David says it's time for the military to take control. Yeah, I mean, will the insurrection, like, there's several benchmarks to keep an eye on. Marine activation is one. Insurrection Act is one. Oh, okay, your battery's at 2%. Gotta go. Why don't you just plug it in? Don't you have a device to charge it with? Thanks for what you do, and thanks for what you are. Thank you, Sid. Appreciate you. FCK UP 1G JA6. Anything new going on today? Oh yeah. The kinetic phase of World War III has began on American soil. In the Democrat city and Democrat state. Organized, orchestrated with Democrat funding. Yeah, the Democrats have ramped up their Civil War phase here in America. And it's starting to look like UK, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, Ireland, everywhere that massive unchecked illegal immigration invasion has occurred. Because as I've said, immigration without assimilation is invasion. So those are things going on. What is your name, sir or madam? FCKUP1GJ6. And where are you watching from?
Preamble of that was Columbia University and these different universities with this red-green alliance, the radical jihadists.
There has been a Democrat consolidation of radical jihadists with the illegal alien invaders from other places, from Venezuela, El Salvador, Mexico, Central America, South America, etc. What's this? I was watching yesterday. Don't seem to be any live feed yet today. They're burning cop cars, self-driving cars. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, Larry in Indiana. Wait, Larry that I know from Indiana? Or are you a new Larry? No, the Larry I know is from Columbus, isn't it? Are you Larry F? Fletcher? I really do try to remember my people and what region they're from. As we get more and more viewers, it's going to be impossible, but I'm going to try. That's why it's cool that I know Sid is over there in the Cape now. David up in Ontario. Okay, Larry, Indiana. I'm in a good old country town, but near the highway. Awesome. Indiana, Larry, Indiana. Thanks for tuning in, Larry. Yeah, the whole first segment of this show, well, the entire show has been, oh, you're new here. Welcome. Well, you're the second Larry. We got a Larry who's like a Cincinnati sports fan and like a Columbus and Cleveland sports fan. So the proximity to Indiana and Columbus maybe had me two Larrys. We got a couple Larrys that watch the show, but hello, Indiana Larry. Please hit like, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. And remember, keep the comments flowing so that it'll show up in the algorithm. Thanks for joining us. But yeah, if you want to go back and watch, I mean, all day I've been playing take after take. Interesting perspectives from people about these riots, about what's been happening. You're glad to be surrounded by cornfields and a bunch of military folks around. You're damn skippy. Now, if you're new here, welcome. My name's Brian. This is the TNAM Daily Show, a division of the Agree to Disagree show here on the New American Media because the old American media failed you. Quick reminder to Larry and all the newcomers, the places to watch us are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. The New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, True Social, Rumble, Odysee, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube under the New American Media. Telegram and Signal, we're at TNAM and TNAM Chat. On X at American_media_. And our podcast on Spotify and Apple is the Agree to Disagree show. Also, anybody who wants to toss something in the tip jar, I consider myself to be a bartender, and I consider you to be the regulars. We're on Patreon at the New American Media. Thank you to our new subscribers. Every first of the month, wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month. Every first of the month, we get a billing. And so whether you sign up for $5 a month, $15 a month, 100 or 1,000 a month, it bills on the first. And we appreciate everybody on Patreon. And if anyone wants to toss something in the tip jar through Venmo or Cash App, it's at BrianEngelman. All scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can just press pause and make sure you get it right. And on PayPal at Fuzz Installment. So thank you for being with us, Larry. But yeah, I'm a 15-year resident of Los Angeles, and I bailed in 2021 during the COVID craziness, and just their laws were upside down. They made it next to impossible to evict someone if they were squatting at your property. If you had a previous arrangement with a renter, they wouldn't let you kick them out. And I'm like, I can't be on the other side of the country with a property over here. I got to sell. Like, they kicked me out because common sense told me, no way. They made it openly hostile to be a normal American citizen trying to do business in California. So I left, took the New American Media, got out of there, got out of Los Angeles. So no, I'm not surrounded by cornfield per se, but I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. During the Breonna Taylor riots, it got dicey. It got dicey for a hot minute. So I think there are sleeper cells. There's infrastructure here for Louisville to potentially pop off at any moment. We saw it during the 2020 Summer of Love. The Democrat deep state, they have their money. They have their foot soldiers. And it is the language that they speak. So yeah, I'm trying to stay as frosty as I can. Let's see. You heard they're kicking up protests in other cities. I have yet to see anything yet. San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles is the epicenter, much like a California quake. LA is the epicenter at the moment. You used to live in South Chicagoland. 2020 riots were wild. Yeah, man. I was out there. Larry, we were at all three conventions this year. Washington, D.C. for the Libertarian Convention. We were in the Bronx like a month or two before Trump was shot in Butler, reporting for Real America's Voice. Oh, actually with Bannon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're a newbie. You're new here. You know what? I'll take a quick second. I'll just share this since you're new here. This is me reporting in the Bronx for Real America's Voice, Jack Posobiec.
The energy here is exciting. You hear people yelling behind. They were just chanting USA. You have people performing music. The energy is off the charts. This is not a traditional area that Republicans have bothered to communicate with. But after seeing the past 3.5 years, people are ready for a change. I spoke with a woman that said one of her elderly friends was cracked in the head and severely injured on a subway. That's just unacceptable to be abusing elderly women in a great city like this. The great American cities are really struggling right now under the weight of what Biden's done at the border, and it's palpable. The people have seen the past 3.5 years, and they are ready for a change. That's for sure.
So that was part of my reporting in the Bronx, but we also went to Milwaukee the week after Trump was shot, just for like time reference to like reset and recalibrate. One was in May, Libertarians, and it was July for the Republicans and August for the Dems, I think. But yeah, we went to Chicago then for the Democrat convention. I actually had a really great time in Chicago, but you could tell there was such a weird, angry, militant, such and such. It was all Palestine and face coverings, and it felt like you had a bit of an invading army there. They were yelling at the Democrats for Gaza. That was their number one issue, it seemed like. But a lot of these groups, they make strange bedfellows. The enemy of my enemy is my temporary friend. You know, they'll go after any of the brown shirts. Ooh, a good video, How to Survive the LA Riots by Wrangler Star. Do you guys follow Wrangler Star? Okay, I pulled this up. I'm going to watch this in a second. Well, not in a second, but when I'm done. Anyhow. America needs a third party. Yeah, I mean, look, if the libertarians could steer MAGA the rest of the way, like to real MAGA is libertarian. But libertarians have to get their heads out of their ass with their open border bullshit. Libertarians lose the plot 5 to 20% of the time. MAGA loses the plot 5 to 20% of the time. Republicans lose the plot 40% of the time. Democrats lose the plot 90% of the time. My hope, because at the Libertarian Convention, if you recall, and we filmed it, I could pull those videos up, but I'm just not at the moment. But we filmed Dr. Ron Paul speaking. We filmed Bobby Kennedy speaking. We filmed President Trump speaking. We filmed Vivek Ramaswamy, Clint Russell, Dave Smith, a lot of smart minds. And if you could get the Bobby Kennedys who don't have things right on their, like his medical stuff is pretty strong, but his political stuff gets into like gun confiscation and wackiness. Libertarians are pretty spot on, except when it comes to open border nonsense. It's like, bro, you put a lock on your front door. Of course you need a lock on your country. Like if the libertarians could steer Trump a little bit more libertarian, if Trump could steer the libertarians a little bit more MAGA, and if they could just dominate and completely destroy the deep state Democrat, demonic, divisive Democrat party, we'd all be in a much better position. Yeah, but nobody's perfect. David says New York loves Trump. Yeah, man, that was my report. The energy there was palpable. Oh, fuck it. I'll play it one more time because it was just like a year ago. So it's still kind of interesting to me. Let me pull up this clip. Maybe I'll refresh it. Do I need to refresh it? This was me in the Bronx. They used several of my clips for the intro. Basically because we're showing Bannon on the screen. I was supposed to be on a Bannon segment, but he had another guest on that ran long, and there wasn't enough. Like, I was supposed to be focused on the counter protesters, but there really weren't any. And by the time we went and got to a place where the SEIU or some of the unions had showed up at a really lame rally, there wasn't really much material for him to use, but they used several of my clips on the Bannon intro that I'll just play it real quick because it was a year ago, and it was a nice timeline marker.
Trump's big
I was on
Bronx
this show with these
rally.
ladies.
Crowds pouring in here, thousands.
That's Dave Zier. Met him throughout the day.
Of people.
We are in the Bronx.
This is me interviewing this guy.
today, and I do think the Bronx is going to show out for Donald Trump.
These people up here want change.
Biden's bringing us down, man.
The only man capable to make those changes, and he will make those changes, is Donald Trump. 50% of the people in this area live below the federal poverty line. You like what you see going on in the city?
No, my city's upside down.
Democrats let the people down?
Sure, look at Ocasio-Cortez.
These people are furious. They feel like the Democrats have taken them for granted all this time.
Biden's support among minorities isn't just eroding because of failed policies, but because more people are waking
Yeah, I believe I was on this show, but I'm not super familiar with this show.
up and see how much of a liar he really is.
And one or two of my segments were tough. I was trying to get into like the scrum, and I couldn't quite get the interview that I was hoping for, but I tried.
The biggest issue right now is the border. You got a mass invasion everywhere, especially
year
here
ago.
in New York City. They go to the big cities.
The great American cities are really struggling right now under the weight of what Biden's done at the border, and it's palpable.
Crime is raised at least 160%. I get gunshots on my block on a weekly basis.
We need to make America safe again. Donald Trump, the #1 president, we love you. We need you. Come save us. Save us from the crime. Save us from the criminals.
And people from every race and color, the Bronx needs help.
The people have seen the past 3.5 years, and they are ready for a change.
Dominicans and black people in the streets cheering for Trump.
I love you, Donald. I would love to be able to shake your hand.
Here to see Trump. He's coming to the Bronx. I had to come. He's the greatest president in my lifetime.
I think everybody's going red.
We've wanted for a long time somebody that's warrior enough to go to South Bronx.
Donald Trump coming out here and showing that he cares about the community and he wants his message to be heard, because we've been dealt a terrible hand of cards by the Democratic Party for a very, very long time. Minorities from the Bronx, all fed up and pissed off.
We're going to listen to the 45th President of the United States.
Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very much. This is some turnout. Right here in the Bronx. I'm here tonight to declare that we are going to turn New York City around, and we are going to turn it around very, very quickly. We're going to bring safety back to our streets. We're going to bring success back to our schools. We're going to bring prosperity back to every neighborhood and every borough of the greatest city in our land. We're going to reduce taxes. We're going to bring businesses and big taxpayers back to New York. We're going to make New York bigger, better, and more beautiful than ever before. And that includes right here in the Bronx. And it's going to be done and funded starting on January 20th, directly from our great and beautiful White House.
That was kind of fun. That was a good experience, getting to jump out there and cover that. But yeah, New York does love Trump. That is for sure. All right, back to Bannon. Anyway, since we had a newbie at the bar, bellied up to the bar, and he doesn't know the backstory, I just wanted to show that as Bannon continues his talk here, that the kinetic phase of World War III has begun. Democrat deep state led.
Coupled with neo-Marxist. And if you didn't see it yesterday, it looked like a foreign country. Why did it look like a foreign country? They're foreigners that are doing this. You see the Mexican flags? You see the Palestinian flags? This is a war. It's a political, cyber, psychological, economic warfare that has now gotten into its kinetic phase. What's happening in Los Angeles, in San Francisco last night is the...
Oh, I think that clip replayed there. But yeah. Get ready, everybody. Get ready. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says, notice how these riots never happen in red states. California can blame Trump all that it wants, but this chaos is the direct result of years of soft on crime, pro-criminal policies. This would never happen under real law and order leadership. Agreed. This is a great one. The Babylon Bee remains undefeated, right? Illegals help film Republican presidential campaign commercial. There you go. Illegals help film Republican presidential campaign commercial. You want your midterm commercial? Right here. You want this in your city, your country, or you want to vote MAGA? Because this is exactly where the Democrats are trying to take you. DC Drano says, be right back. Gonna sneak into Mexico illegally, get welfare benefits and free healthcare, wave an American flag, burn the Mexican flag, throw rocks at cops, burn vehicles, and then say the Mexican president is a fascist for trying to stop me. Well said, DC Drano. All right, so how is President Trump doing on immigration? I mean, man, these divisive, deep state, demonic Democrats, they're telling you that President Trump, it's just, look, it's an uprising to his terribly unpopular policies, they'll have you believe, right? Right? Wrong. Larry in Indiana, I'll tell you what, if you're on Facebook, you should follow TNAM Preparedness. You're talking about gold and silver, you're talking about food and water being most important. You need some filtration devices to survive. Yeah, brother, you should follow our private Facebook group, TNAM Preparedness. TNAM Preparedness. And TNAM's the Agree to Disagree show. Very good Facebook groups. We stay active all day long. I really do. If you follow the New American Media, you're going to get a different experience on Instagram, a different experience on X, a different experience on YouTube, a different experience on Rumble, a different experience on Facebook, like we're different on different platforms. But yeah, you got to get some water, and everybody, you need to order potassium potassium iodide. Hang on, let me triple check, make sure I'm remembering. It is potassium. Iodine? Did I say iodide? Yeah. Potassium iodide is used for several purposes, primarily related to its ability to protect the thyroid gland from radioactive iodine exposure. It protects the thyroid from radioactive iodide released during nuclear events or fallout. Saturates the thyroid gland with stable iodine, preventing the uptake of radioactive iodine, which can cause thyroid cancer or other damage. Okay? If you do one thing and listen to me on one thing, yes, for radiation. Get some. Oh, when I went to the conventions, I had a packet of potassium iodide, and I had several other packets from my other photojournalist friends that I was around in case something popped off, and I was very concerned, especially after they took a shot at Trump. Oh yeah, the bad guys are moving all in, but the beautiful part is they've taken off their masks. I know, like in a lot of these videos, they still have their masks on, but you can now track the funding. You can connect dots A, B, C, D, E, F. It's happening. I do have faith that this is going to get rooted out, that some of these roots are going to be able to be pulled out all the way down to the point where they're not going to be able to regenerate and spring back. I really do. But yeah, get some potassium iodide. It's an overlooked component. And it's pretty cheap too. $10 for a couple, 10, 20 bucks, get a jar of them, or individual sealed packets, and they last for a decade or something. And even if they don't, even if they're out of expiration, do your own research. But most of these medicines, they might lose a little bit of efficacy the more they're stored on the shelf or the longer but they're still somewhat effective. So if it's the best you have, it's good to have it. I wouldn't throw out I have jars of potassium iodide I've had for 20 years. Now, I might move them to my backup bug out bag, but I'm not going to get rid of them. Are you out of your mind? Hell no. It's not like dairy. It doesn't spoil and mold. But yeah, for radiation, for sure. All right. George Balfour Kinnear, he's going to play this clip from CNN. The dirty deep state Democrats will tell you immigration policy. I mean, it's not a winning issue for President Trump, right? Right? Need we remind you about the Babylon Bee saying that the illegal immigrants are the illegal aliens? Don't call them immigrants. The illegal immigrants went through the front door. Aliens broke in, snuck in. Yeah, that they're filming the Republican commercials for the midterms. You're damn right they are. Every piece of footage here is going to be something the Republicans can use for their campaigns in the midterms. But let's take a listen to the numbers coming from CNN.
Is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this.
It didn't sink like a rock. It went up like a rocket.
His first term, Trump was way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up over 20 points. Some other polls even have it a little bit higher than that. There is no issue on which Trump is doing so much better than he was in his first term, more than the issue of immigration program to deport those here illegally. Look at this. 54% approval. The American electorate believe that the Democrats don't have a clue.
No, they do have a clue. They are the problem. They have created the illegal alien invasion. The Democrats don't just have a different idea. They are responsible for this.
On the issue of immigration. 3 different polls for you across the board. They all tell the same story. Republicans lead on the issue of immigration. No matter what poll you look at, no matter which way you cut it, the American public is with the Republicans. The American public is with Donald Trump, and to a much greater extent than they were in term number 1. And it's not just on the broad issue of immigration. It's on the specifics as well. This is Trump's net approval rating on immigration. It's gone up like a rocket. Compare now versus 8 years ago during Trump's first term. Look at this. In his first term, Trump was way underwater at minus 21 points. But look at this. He's up.
Because we didn't fully understand just how bad things were. I said this on Saturday's show. You know, Trump comes down the golden escalator and he's like, I want to run. And of course, they invaded Europe. They invaded all throughout Europe. Europe's an absolute mess right now. I don't know if they can save Europe. I didn't know that the immigration issue was as bad as it was in 2015, 2016, 2017. I was like, honestly, I kind of wish he'd stop talking about it so much. Like, I didn't understand the fentanyl. How many millions of Americans have been killed over the last decade from fentanyl poisoning from China through Mexico? How many? It's just someone wants to smoke a bowl or something, or take a bump, or take a pill at a party, or they're out dancing, and this stuff laced with fentanyl is just killing people. It's a big issue. I had no idea the human trafficking, the human slavery issue, the child abuse going on. I do now. Yeah, the border is absolutely crucial. And the Democrats, it's not just that they have a different idea about it. They are the problem. They are the cause. The deep state Democrats are the cause of this. And many rhinos are in the deep state as well. So keep in mind the public backs strong border enforcement. Representative Anna Paulina Luna says, I'm filing legislation to designate Antifa as a terrorist organization. Peaceful protest is one thing, but masked violence and coordinated terror campaigns are un-American. Andy No says, Antifa International has announced a June 8 direct action to attack the ICE facility in San Francisco. The planned riot is organized in support of the insurrection in Los Angeles. All right. They are a terrorist organization. I thought we already settled this. But hey, what do I know? Well, I'll tell you what I know. I know that I am concluding today's program, and I appreciate everybody signing in and unpacking it. I mean, today was really just discussing the riots because we saw what happened in the Summer of Love riots. Blue cities allowed it, and it just spread like a wildfire. Now we got a Republican, we got a MAGA force that's saying, hell no. No, President Trump was through that when they tried to smear and slander him and get him run out of office. They did everything they could, from Corona to nationwide riots, to get him out in 2020. Well, with no re-election and having lived through it and had some different perspectives on things at the time, President Trump is taking a much more aggressive approach to this. And we'll see how it shakes out. Pray for peace. But peace under the terms that are acceptable. We're not tolerating this. We're not doing 2020 again. So we'll be back tomorrow. Maybe there'll be some more stories on the docket. Thank you, David. Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Unholy Hoax. Thank you. Who else is in here today? David, Unholy Hoax, Larry, Bella, Sid, right? And everybody else who's been watching in the shadows. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Try to follow us in some of the other social media accounts scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You can once again pause it and just like, oh, they have a DLive account. Oh, they're on Twitch. I'm on Twitch. I'll follow the New American Media on Twitch. Because at some point, YouTube, Google might just get rid of us. They've messed with us enough over the past 14 years, took our monetization away. That's why we tell you about our tip jar. We told you once, don't need to tell you again, but your support means everything. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back again tomorrow. So on behalf of everybody out there in the TNAM universe, I appreciate you. I love you, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.